Hello, it's Sunday, April 20 in the year 2025. God bless you wherever you may be. Welcome to Darkness is Falling video number 384 in this series exposing the Jesuit Vatican shadow empire as the true cause of all revolutions, genocide, war, and deception for the last 500 years, and the one and only candidate for the fourth iron Roman beast system, described trampling and crushing the nations in the prophetic books of Daniel and Revelation. A very warm welcome to all of you who regularly listen to these messages, and a warm welcome also to those who may be newcomers to this ministry. I don't know how that's happening, but there's still a few people subscribing, which is amazing to me at this very late stage. So there are still some people who are finding their way through the online minefield set up to obfuscate and hide these channels for this ministry. So if you found your way here, God bless you, and I don't know how you did it, but I just think it's the grace of God, personally, at this last stage. A big thank you to all of you who support what God is doing here with prayer and also encouragement and help with information. Much appreciated. Things are getting more difficult, so I certainly appreciate whatever help comes my way. As I've said before, AI is becoming a bigger and bigger concern as the programs begin to interfere with everything, including my writing and the access of pertinent information online. AI is directing programs more and more, and in some ways making my task much more challenging. And I really don't need that, because it takes a lot to put together one of these videos. So the longer it takes, the more difficult it is to find information. It's not good for anyone. Nevertheless, before I start this video message, just another reminder that hundreds of billions of dollars are spent every day, every week, every month on the creation and presentation of news worldwide. And this is meant to distract and deceive us. These are its prime functions outside of entertainment. Now, what is missing from the news stories is far more important than what is actually in the news. News is propaganda, which is based on lies, which are based on a small kernel of truth. Now, always be very cautious of what you're watching and listening to on TV and on the internet. I would venture to say today that 99% of what is seen and heard today is straight from the mind of the beast. As a general rule of thumb, the news is based on lies and movies are based around truth. I know it's all twisted up and I can't generalize, but they have been telling us how it's going to be in the movies. This is a more helpful gauge than news, which fosters continual waves of fear and rage in populations. And that's what it's designed to do. News is designed to provoke and manipulate emotions, reactions. This is very detrimental to faith, which is not based in emotions. So be very careful to hear the truth, but refuse to be emotionally manipulated by news in any way. Look for the truth in it, but don't be manipulated emotionally by the messages. Guard your faith and trust in God at all times. Rather, be controlled by the Word of God and the Spirit of God. Often, it is a fine line that we walk between these two states of faith and emotion while in this world. Faith and emotion are always in conflict with each other for predominance. But for the saint of God, faith must always rule our lives. Faith based on logic in the Word of God. So just be careful of all that. It's just another warning because it's so easy to get swept away by all this nonsense in the news. And it's not helpful at all if you're trying to walk with God, if you're weak in faith. Spend time in the Word of God and spend far less time focusing on news. Now, if you're not easily swayed by news, which is great, and you are stronger in faith, then by all means, spend a little bit more time trying to figure out what they are really telling us. Because it's reading between the lines that you find the truth. They never tell you the truth up front, ever. Now, please remember, everyone, that Donald Trump is not the true problem. Everyone is raging at Trump in the media. And that's what she's been put into this position to do. Trump is just a scapegoat and whipping post to attract public rage for the decisions she's making, causing chaos and destabilization. She doesn't care. She will take the heat and get paid and keep on enjoying regular flights to Florida to play golf or tennis or whatever else she does. When she finishes her task as fake president of the United States, she will be rewarded with wealth and status and a luxurious, all expenses paid retirement. Trump is just a visible object of loathing, whom the invisible Jesuits hide behind. Trump's task is to destroy America, unravel the system, and that is what she is doing. If you are still wondering what's going on, then you haven't been listening to what I've been saying in many, many messages. America must die in order for the beast kingdom to become one world kingdom, one world empire. Countries must die in order that the beast kingdom might live. That's the way it works, people. That's what the Bible tells us, if you read the scriptures carefully. So, for the beast kingdom to be one, all these things have to happen. America must come apart, and this will be used to accomplish the Jesuits' political, military, social, and economic objectives to take away all personal freedoms. We don't have much left, but even what we have left is soon going to be gone. When the final mark implant is in every body and all money is digital and controlled, then and only then will every living soul be enslaved forever, and this will be all over. Now, talking about something being over, do you remember this scene from the Matrix movie? Please watch, and I'll see you afterwards.
Is it over? No, it's not fair.
For those of you who have watched that movie, do you remember that scene? Very dramatic. The Jesuits were telling us 25 years ago in this movie, in an inverted metaphorical manner, with Smith clones, that it will all be over when every living person is assimilated into Satan's light or gnosis and are destroyed eternally, taken over and consumed by the beast. The many subsumed by the one. I've been talking about this philosophical concept in many, many videos. The many subsumed into and consumed by the one. This is predictive programming in the Matrix at its finest. Most people will never see this meaning in the film. The pathetic question to Neo, is it over? From the mighty and arrogant Agent Smith, is very chilling once you understand the meaning. The answer from Neo turned Smith clone was yes, but not in the positive sense for Agent Smith. Yes, the war was over, but Smith, you were deceived and lost, and now you're gone. And of course, the final explosion takes out all the Agent Smith clones. Now, the same kind of scenario lies up ahead for God's true spirit-filled saints, but there will be no assimilation into the beast system. Like Agent Smith and his army of clones, there will only be annihilation for God's people, not assimilation, as the beast machine rises to full control. You see? Truth in the movies. They tell us in very cryptic manner, but the message is there if you have eyes to see it and ears to hear it. They are telling us continually how it is going to be. An online source states this, and I quote, "In the Matrix, Agent Smith's primary purpose was to maintain order within the simulated world by eliminating potential threats to the system's stability, particularly those who had become red pills and understood that the Matrix was not real. Smith was essentially a security program tasked with suppressing any deviation from the established reality." Unquote. So Agent Smith is a metaphor for the Jesuit-controlled Freemasonic watchdog thugs who eliminate threats to the beast system, and God's people are that threat. It will all be over when they finally complete their task of eliminating all threats to the beast system, like me and like you, who know the truth, who see the matrix for what it is, and who are willing to die exposing it. Now, the beast empire, which controls Donald Trump, is the problem. It's not the public figure that is pre-selected into power, but the private entities, the Agent Smith, Jesuit, and Freemason clone army that puts these celebrity figures there. They are the problem. And a lot of people still do not realize that what we see is not the true reality. It's what's behind what we see that is the true reality. And they showed us this in the Matrix. When people woke up and unplugged from the Matrix, they could not go back in. And if they did go back in, like one did, they had no memory whatsoever of being out of the Matrix. But for us, there's no going back in. Once you see what is going on, once God shows you the truth, you can't unsee it. Can you return to a life of sin? Yes, you can, but you will always know the truth, and it will haunt you till the day you die. Now, remember the public national figures during the fake COVID pandemic between 2019 and 2023, 24? Remember all these celebrity politicians? Trump, Biden, Trudeau, Boris Johnson in the UK, Scott Morrison in Australia, Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, Angela Merkel and Olaf Scholz in Germany, and Emmanuel Macron in France. These were some of the chief figures that were in the media all the time. There was others, but these are the main political figures. These wicked puppets were in the media constantly between 2020 and 2024, barking orders to everyone to isolate, mask, test, and inject. It was the same all over the world. They did what they were told and then disappeared and were rewarded after their job was done. All these people have moved up the ladder, having performed extreme acts of wickedness in coercing, under pressure, billions of people with the mark of the beast experimental gene-corrupting mRNA injections. The real Roman cause is never seen in all of this. Totally hidden behind these puppets that are pushed forward and become a facade, which all the people in the Matrix who reject the truth of Jesus Christ believe. They believe these people are the cause, not understanding the power system behind them. And I've talked about this in many, many videos, but it's always necessary to keep bringing this up and reminding ourselves about how this system works and how diabolical it really is. It is really important to never lose sight of the Jesuit military order of Rome cause behind every world development. Everything. I work very hard to keep the true enemy visible in every video message, but I am waging war against virtually an army of online media corporations, trolls, shills, who perpetrate humanist visions of free man and the myth of sovereign countries all over the internet 24/7. I'm literally being drowned under a blanket of disinformation. Now, never forget that every soul that has been tested and injected with COVID technologies carries a prison inside them, which they are not even aware of. The prison is inside. The beast technology is the prison inside nearly every living soul today. It really is the devil inside. I did a video called The Devil Inside while I was in exile early in the fake pandemic. If you haven't listened to video number 148 titled The Devil Inside, posted in April 2021, then I urge you to do so. The message is not dated. In fact, none of the messages in any of these nearly 400 videos is dated because they all relate to current and past history and Bible prophecy. All current. Excuse me. All the video messages are current. They may look a little bit dated, but the messages are current and relate to exactly what is going on right now and what is coming. Now, yes, there is a rising technological world prison on the outside, but it is the technological Trojan horse prison inside everybody that has changed mankind and thus the world forever. The mark of the beast payload, chemical payload, was delivered to the target human population successfully. Yes, it was. They succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. So we are living in a post-human world. Everyone who has had mRNA injections since 2020 is transhuman. We are living in a transhuman reality. People are forgetting this truth because as time moves on and people don't morph into monsters, they falsely believe that things have returned to normal. So great and so desperate is people's love of this world and their life in this world that any pause in the Jesuit Vatican War is seen as a return to normal. Big mistake. Nothing could be further from the truth today. And we can see this as world economic normality is deliberately being sabotaged and made to fail. This must happen in order for the beast empire to rise totally unopposed. And remember, the only thing that opposes the beast system rising is people knowing the truth. And very few people today know the truth. If you're listening to these videos, you know the truth. But you're in a very small group. I can assure you that you are in a very, very small group. But I'm glad you're there, here, wherever you are. Okay, let's run quickly over, as quickly as I can, over some news items that are important to understand. Some of these things you may be aware of, some of them you may not be. That's okay. I don't mind running over these things regularly so that we are reminded about the scale, the massive scale of this world operation being conducted by the Jesuit order. It's massive. Number one, there's an article posted, a video posted on the World Affairs in Context YouTube channel, posted March 2025, titled "The EU or European Union to use 10 trillion euros of citizen savings for its militarization plans." 10 trillion euros for an increase in militarization in the EU, in Europe. Think about that. I've been talking about increasing expenditures on military equipment, military operations in previous videos. Keep your eye on military expenditures and the rise of the beast military system, which comprises all the militaries of all nations. They're one under the United Nations. Every military worldwide is under the control of the United Nations. They're one. So when you see the military expenditure rising, you know that they are planning for a big final event, which is Armageddon. Now, I don't know how far away that is, but the amounts of money being spent in the United States alone every year on the military is huge and increasing everywhere. All the nations are being told to spend more money and to increase their military strength. Number 2, travel to America is tanking. Europe, Canada, Latin America say hell no to the U.S. This was a video posted on the Bulwark YouTube channel, posted April 19th, 2025. Travel to America is tanking. This is serious. Take note of that. Because when people stop getting on airplanes, that's it. I've talked about this previously in my video Airplanes. If you haven't watched that, please watch that. Watch the military. Watch the airlines and what's happening to them. And what is happening with travel? It's simple. The Jesuits know that if they create enough fear about getting on a plane to or from the USA, then basically air travel takes a huge hit worldwide. That in turn will bring the airlines to a grinding halt. Few or no passengers equals the end of air travel. I've been warning about this for years. They shut down air travel in 2020 with fake virus fear, and now they're doing it again with Trump fascism fear. And like I said before, if you haven't watched my video number 380, titled Airplanes, which is all about the gradual erosion, destruction of world air travel, then I urge you to watch that. The destruction of all things is being done incrementally, bit by bit by bit, as I have said many times, so that masses of people do not see it happening and do not wake up. They think it's just another development in a world system that's heading into the future, a golden age of man. Just another bump in the road. How wrong they are. Because we are at the end. This will not keep going. Number 3, a video titled Trump Administration Freezes $2.2 billion for Harvard over campus activism was posted on the CBC News YouTube channel April 15th, 2025. $2.2 billion. Harvard is being censored. A Guardian article titled, and I quote, Obama and Yale faculty back Harvard as Trump cuts $2 billion in federal grants. So suddenly Obama is at loggerheads with Donald Trump. Really? No. They're just playing their parts to make it look like there's division and opposition. No, there is none. It's all a big play, big theater. So that article was posted April 15th in The Guardian, 2025. And this article states, and I quote, the intervention by Obama came after 876 faculty members at Yale University, Harvard's fellow Ivy League institution, published a letter to their leadership expressing support for standing up to the Trump administration. They said, we stand together at a crossroads. American universities are facing extraordinary attacks that threaten the bedrock principles of a democratic society. Democratic. How stupid. America has never been a democratic society. They said, including rights of free expression, association, and academic freedom. We write as one faculty to ask you to stand with us now, unquote. Now, Trump said, we are going to choke off the money to schools that aid the Marxist assault on our American heritage and on Western civilization itself. She said, the days of subsidizing communist indoctrination in our colleges will soon be over. Says a communist about putting an end to communism. Unbelievable. Do you think people will see this? Contradiction? Constant contradiction? No. They're blinded because they believe they live in a democratic society. In March, the task force leader, Leo Terrell, a former Fox News commenter, said this, we're going to bankrupt these universities if they do not play ball. Democracy, right? Yeah, right. Nothing to do with democracy. He goes on to say the administration in total has frozen or canceled more than $11 billion in funding from at least 7 universities as part of its effort to end what it calls ideological capture. At least 300 students, recent graduates, and postdoctoral students have had their visas and legal immigration statuses revoked as part of the crackdown. And it's far more than that. Thousands and thousands of students, foreign students, have received notices to leave. It says here, but Trump's education secretary, Linda McMahon, told the Wall Street Journal that it was within the federal government's power to ask universities to make changes to campus policies. Campus policies have worked fine up until now. What they're being told to do is censor or else. Total compliance or else. Total censorship of speech or else. She said, if you're taking federal funds, then we want to make sure that you're abiding by federal law. What law? There's no laws. They're just totally restricting free speech. She said, though, she rejected that the administration was attempting to curb academic freedom and the right to peacefully protest or disagree. No, they are curbing that, putting an end to it. She's lying. That's exactly what they're doing. A White House spokesperson, Kush Desai, told the outlet that the task force is motivated by one thing and one thing only, tackling anti-Semitism. 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 They're going to blame everything on anti-Semitism and use it again as a scapegoat to lock everybody down and take away their freedoms. So it's the beginning of the end of American higher education. And not just in America, everywhere. Anti-Semitism is just a scapegoat, like I said, to shut down freedom of speech and the right to protest. Difference is being stamped out, and protest increasingly will not be tolerated. And how is that democracy? Universities are businesses, corporations. That's what universities are. taking government funding so the government can use that funding as a standover tactic, a stick to censure freedoms of staff and students to speak freely. This is full-blown fascism, whether you see this or not. This is yet another proof that we now live in a totally fascist environment. The U.S. administration is a Roman dictatorship. In fact, all national governments are fascist dictatorships. We know this because they are all suppressing freedoms worldwide. And if they were a democracy, you would have freedom to speak and protest. And they would listen to you, and they would change what they are doing wrong. Do we see that anywhere? Never! In this beast kingdom, everyone is being coerced into thinking the same. It's called groupthink. Speaking the same. Group speak. And doing the same. Group do, whatever you want to call it. Or else. It is obedience to the beast or suffer the consequence. Now, if you don't know that there's a beast behind all of this, then you don't even know what's going on. But it is about obedience to the beast or suffer the consequences. Number 4. Do not believe the nonsense that CBDCs and cryptocurrencies are different because they are either generated by the public or private sectors. That is a lie. They are all performing the same function. The Jesuits are pulling the same lie as they did with different COVID vaccines. Remember that? There's 23 different COVID vaccines. In fact, any vaccines now, they're all the same. They perform the same function, have the same ingredients. It's the same with digital currencies. 2,000 or more public cryptocurrencies. This is the reason why they created more than 2,000 of them. It is to foster the illusion of difference, of choice. I've said this so many times, but I have to keep saying it again because I think people have trouble with accepting this reality, these truths. And it does take time for them to saturate down in until we get it and firmly understand how rotten everything is totally to the core. It's way beyond retrieval. So this fostering this illusion of choice and difference, don't be fooled by it. I'll go even further and say that all politicians are the same. They're all the same. There is no difference. They are all Freemasons and are perpetuating the Jesuit agenda for world control wherever they may be, whatever part they play, whatever party they belong to. They are all the same. They're tarred with the same brush. This sameness extends into many aspects of society today. Brand names, party names, company names, mask sameness. So we are living more and more and more in a homogeneous society. Everything is homogeneous, and that's the way Satan wants it. He's exterminating difference. He's exterminating choice. He's exterminating freedom. Do not be fooled by the illusion of difference that the Jesuit Masonic hierarchy perpetrate in the news relentlessly. Every day that passes, people are becoming more and more the same. They think the same, act the same, speak the same, no matter where they are. More than 80 years of the same political systems, the same education, the same entertainment culture, the same media, and the same toxic medicine and vaccine conditioning are causing this. Difference is disappearing as unity and sameness steadily become the norm. Have you observed this? Are you watching? carefully what's going on around you, you'll see this if you're watching carefully. Number 5, more than 1,100 students. There you go. And more. This was written a few days ago. Since that time, more students have had their visas revoked recently. American citizens are being detained and deported from their own country. Fear among travelers is escalating as America begins closing off and ceases to be a welcoming destination. And all the while, there's advertising campaigns. Come to California. Oh, don't just ignore those guys in Washington. Come to California, Canadians. We want you. We miss you. We need your money. Really? It's unbelievable, the circus that we are living in now. I don't think many Canadians are going to be fooled by Newcom's appeal to come back to California when you have the risk of being thrown in jail just for going on a holiday. I don't think so. But that's the intention of Washington, to create this fear. It's all deliberate. So fear among travelers is escalating everywhere as America begins closing off. This is what Stalin, Hitler, Mao, many other dictators over the last 100 years did. This is deliberate and intentional, and I hope you see it. And number 6, just as I've been saying for years about the panopticon world prison we are living in, it is now coming into clearer view as people are reluctant to cross over borders into and out of the USA, and some that are attempting to return are being detained on false charges. Trump is waging a war on tourism, but it is more than that. Trump is waging war on Americans. The beast is waging war on Americans. Most Americans are raging over the loss of human rights, the infringement of privileges. They think they have human rights. I have said many times that there is no constitution and thus no human rights. The whole world is governed by Roman canon law, not American law or Canadian law or British law. No, no, no. The whole world is ruled through the United Nations image of the beast world government through Roman canon law. And that is religious law. Don't forget that. The Vatican is a religious organization that has imposed religious law on the world. So being a U.S. citizen means nothing at all. Being a Canadian citizen means nothing. Being a European citizen means nothing, because there are no human rights. There are none. That's all been abolished. People just don't realize it. And it's not just the USA. There are many other countries where it is no longer okay to cross the border for safety reasons and for other reasons. Fascist restrictions are being put into place in many countries. The USA is just being used as a kind of bomb catalyst to trigger world change quickly. And guess what? It's working. Now, in this video, I want to return to the subject of the convergence of the mark of the beast and the mark digital money system. The convergence, the coming together, the meeting together of the mark of the beast and the mark money system. I have discussed this singularity in many videos over the last 3 years. Forget about the singularity of man merging with machine. That's a false singularity. Let's look at the singularity where man meets Mark and Mark money. That's the real singularity that the Bible teaches us in Revelation. Now, I have discussed, like I said, the singularity in many videos over the last 3 years. We are edging closer and closer to this singularity event where man merges with Mark and Mark money. There are a number of videos and a slide presentation in this message, which I hope will make things more clear for you. The Roman Catholic papal beast of Revelation 13 cannot fully enslave and control every living soul until he has implanted his high-tech mark into their bodies and has totally eradicated all money systems and replaced it with one that is fully under his central control. It's very important to understand this, people. There are people railing against this message because they do not understand where this is all going. Choice needs to be removed so that all people will forget the freedoms of the past and come to love their servitude to the beast world ruler. This is what the Revelation 13 shows us. They all worship the beast. They worship the dragon. And who can make war with the beast? It's worship, people. People are going to worship the beast fully. So all the freedoms of the past will be gone. They'll forget it, and they will love their servitude to the beast world ruler, being totally enslaved to him. Now, if you have choice, you do not have control. Sorry. You can have one or the other. Any control system does not allow choice. Otherwise, you've got chaos. You've got freedom, because choice means freedom. The beast must remove all choice, which means his way or no way, no alternatives. Now, the humanists all over the internet are talking about alternative. There will always be an alternative. No, there won't. There will come a time when it will be his way, the beast's way, or no way. You will die. Now, that's a hard reality, but that is the truth of Scripture. We can listen to it or we can ignore it at our own peril. It's your choice, our choice, my choice. We all have a choice right to the end about who we will serve. That's the only choice we get. So, people will have nothing and be happy, just as Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum stated years ago. He wasn't kidding. People mock it and joke about what he said. That is lying coming. That's lying. That lies ahead of us. That's what's coming. People will forget where they are right now when they are totally enslaved. They'll forget. They'll just be happy to be alive and to have pizza every night delivered to their door while they immerse themselves in a virtual reality world or whatever else. And they will be sick all the time from the mark shots. It's a horrible reality that Revelation paints about those who take the mark of the beast. And those who have already taken the mark will continue right to the end and take the final mark, because the mark of the beast comes in installments. They are vaccine installments that have been dished out over decades. But these last shots are critical. Take them and you're gone. Take them and you're doomed. So, humanists don't believe this. Anything I'm saying. They rail against it. They don't believe this can ever happen. But it is happening. And it will happen. They just don't want to see it. In Revelation 13, the scripture states in verse 4, and they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Who are they? Who's the scripture calling they? These are all the peoples of the world. Verse 3 states, and all the world wondered after him. It means they worshipped him, they loved him, they admired him. This is going to happen, and it's not too far away. Verse 4 also says they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. How did they, or do they worship the dragon? How do they do that? That's simple. If you're not worshiping God, then you are worshiping the dragon or Satan with your life. Worship is all about obedience. It's about who you obey. It's whose commands you obey. The whole world serves the beast world government today. And more than 95% or more, probably more, now have received his COVID-19 mark technologies into their bodies. Excuse me. Now, I have a 28-minute video sent to me by David in the UK called The News Benders, produced by Desmond Loudon for the program 30-Minute Theatre for the BBC in 1968. Maybe you have seen it somewhere in the past in some time in your life. Now, I think it's really important to embed this video into this message. The youth social revolution was in full swing in 1968 when this movie was produced by the BBC. The Jesuits were causing big changes to occur in world society between 1966 and 1969, critical years that have brought us to where we are today. Now, the fake World War III, Cold War, yes, the Cold War was World War III, was in full swing at that time, 1968. This short movie was showing people the reality of the falsehood in the news media, but of course no one was alarmed or took notice of the warning because they were all distracted by all the other world events. In less than 60 years, the Jesuits have turned the news into a fountain of lies. What we need to hear, what we should be told, we don't hear, and we're not being told. We are told what we don't need to hear, or not told about events at all. This has caused a massive flood of misinformation and disinformation, which most people believe today is the truth. I want to thank you, David, for sending me that link, making me aware of it. I did not know about this movie previously, but it really, really struck a chord. And it is really, really prescient. So we should look at that. It's so important to realize that the Jesuits did tell us what they were going to do in many, many movies and books, and they have done it. They told us they were going to do it, and they've done it. We were warned, but thought we were being entertained by another inventive little TV story. They told us a lot of truth in series like The Twilight Zone and other little quirky little TV series, strange little stories that predicted the future or aspects of the future. Truth in plain sight in the movies and on TV. Now, I know that this movie was shown long before many of us were born, but Satan doesn't care how old you or I are or were when we were born. He doesn't care. He doesn't care where you were when this movie came out. Deception knows no age or time constraint. We are commanded in God's word to be sober and alert at all times. Not reading the Bible and not knowing the truth is our fault. It's our parents' fault. It's our grandparents' fault. Whatever situation we were born into, it's our fault for not ultimately seeking out and finding the truth. It's our responsibility, ultimately, not God's. No one can ever charge God for their ignorance when God is just a breath away. All we have to do is ask Him. And the world is full of more than 8 billion Bibles collecting dust on shelves in homes everywhere. Doesn't matter where you go in the world, you'll find a Bible. It's not hard to find. Now, please watch this video, a longer video, and listen carefully, and I'll see you afterwards.
We're told we're here at 3. It's after 10 past. He is in, isn't he? One of the big boys wants to see you. He always pulls the same trick. Sends for you at 3 and sees you at 3:15.
Mr. Larkin to see you, J.G.
I'm sorry for the captain. Sit down, Mr. Larkin.
Thank you.
Do you smoke these things?
King of Kings, sirs.
Yes. Very surprised we got you to come here, Mr. Larkin.
Well, I couldn't see what the CWNS would want with me. Still can't.
Do you know anything about us?
Oh, I heard one or two things when I was working with the BBC.
What did you hear?
CWNS set up midway between the government and the TV companies. Anytime the newsreel boys put out stuff with security classification, wars, weapons, political leaks, they get their film through this office.
What do we know about you? Larkin. Robert Santor.
Yes, it's a family name.
Good family. Good education. But you turned your back on all that, didn't you? Tried a little bit of everything. 1955, you wrote some plays for the BBC, then worked for them as a story editor. 1961, you got a 3-year contract as a director, which you didn't renew.
Oh, the BBC weren't paying money.
Well, you're in the money now, aren't you? In 1968. There's your flat in Holland Park, your cottage in Hampshire, 2 children.
And a dog and a cat who commute with us to the country at weekends. Well, maybe you knew that already.
6 years ago, there were those shows you did on alcoholism, blood sports, slum clearance. People called you bright. Very bright. There were other words they used.
Hard-hitting, vital.
Now you do only 4 shows a year. The critics call them brilliant. They're high in the ratings, and they're, they're souffles. Little soft in the center. Don't think I'm complaining.
Oh, you can complain if you want to.
Just call it a friendly professional interest. I'd like to know what happened to alcoholism and blood sports.
Call it reaching the age of 35. Call it school fees, 2 fixed addresses. Call it joining the establishment. Call it being a socialist for 15 years in a country that'll never be socialist.
Good. There's your wife, Rachel. You married the girl next door. Your 2 children, Rebecca and Daniel, nice little family. 3 years ago, you got yourself a girlfriend. It was serious.
Where the hell did you get that, Founder? Just tell me where it stops.
Lasted for 18 months. Your wife never knew about it. Even when you nearly decided to leave her.
Who are you? It's the initials JG, that's all I know. Never met you before in all my life.
July the 25th, 1966. You finally decided to break it off with this woman. You said you loved her. You said you loved your children. It was 2 against 1. You had to add it up like that. Sorry, your cigar is burning my desk.
Sheila told you all this?
We have ways of finding things out.
But why? If it's blackmail, the thing won't hold water. It's all in the past. Well, there'd be pain, of course, for Rachel and the children. But you wouldn't get anything else out of it.
No, it isn't blackmail. We've just been interested in you for a long time.
Interested?
You went back to your wife because you said it was 2 against 1. I call that very responsible. We're interested in very responsible people. In fact, we have a little index for them. We call it their power quotient, a ratio of responsibility as against aggression. Yours is very low, 0.2. That's very low, just what we need. Sit down, please. I'm sorry, the language must seem rather strange at first, but we take it very seriously. Just to show you how seriously, I'm going to tell you how we checked up on you. We call these things surgical transmitters. One was fitted inside you when you went into the Charing Cross Hospital 3 years ago. Appendix, wasn't it?
Transmitter? Are you trying to tell me that you listen to every word I say?
A machine does. Untouched by human hand. There's a little gadget in these things that ties up with the pulse rate. Puts a bleep onto anything that you're excited about saying. British.
Power quotient, surgical transmitters, high-speed tape. It's Doctor Who. I'm for the real world, Jack. Good afternoon.
I should just have to give you an example. On July the 26th, 1966, you were talking to this girl, Sheila, about love. You said to her, I quote, "The kind of love I have for you, Sheila, well, it's bed love and it's more. It's staying in bed till 6 p.m. and saying I can't go to the office today. It's eating breakfast at twilight, laughing at leaves on the pavement."
I don't believe there's any such thing as these surgical transmitters. You got Sheila to tell you all this, then you wrote it down the way I might have said it. You're a good guesser.
Can you hear your heart beating?
It's eating breakfast at twilight, laughing at leaves on the pavement, getting a cab to a silly movie to Paris. It's moving when you're tired of staying still. And I've done it all before when I could do it with no ties. Now to just be irresponsible.
So there really is one of those things inside me. What do you want?
We want people with low power quotients. We want them to work for us. Nothing more sinister than that.
All this just to offer me a job.
Special sort of job. The newspapers talk about the corridors of power, the power elite. Let's just say we'd like you to join the club.
Oh.
There's a vacancy in our newsreel department. We'd like you to help plan the news for 1973.
Come again?
Plan the news for 1973. What are you doing?
I just want to make sure the sunlight's real.
I always tell people, news is the most highly developed form of fiction. The most difficult. Come on. I just want to show you something. There's no obligation to buy. Really. News requires imagination. News requires responsibility. We think you're well qualified. Please.
Double A security, sprinkler systems and other services do not operate beyond this point.
(1973). We've only roughed out the news for 1973. Nothing's been given the go-ahead yet, but this is the kind of thing we have in mind. Come.
Today, April 14th, 1973. First historic pictures by Radstar of the combined U.S.-Russian landing on the moon. Shown here are Majors Webb and Mikhailovich taking their first steps into the unknown, firing their retro-rockets to land their spacecraft on the dust-covered surface. A comforting note for us stay-at-homes, both the Pentagon and the Kremlin have announced that the moon has no strategic value.
A comforting note for us to stay at home. I can't show you any film on this next model. We haven't photographed it yet. But this is the way it will sound.
June the 22nd, 1973. The State Department releases film of the ultimate weapon, codenamed Icarus. This satellite is equipped with a solid reactor. In layman's terms, it can freeze air solid, stopping all missiles, killing all forms of life. Icarus orbits at the same speed as the Earth, can hang in position over every major city that threatens the peace-loving nations.
Rather proud of this one. Come on. Please, sit down, Mr. Larkin.
September the 5th, 1973. The new phase in global warfare. War by example. At 4:32 our time, China took out the remote Indian border village of Bandor, unprotected by the Icarus network. After the first 2 5-megaton H-bombs had fallen, the 9-way hotline finally
Switch
had
it off.
effect. But
This is going to happen in 1973. You're going to make this happen?
No. We're going to make models, much cheaper. Then we photograph the models.
Fake newsreels.
That's fake newsreels. For the past 10 years, people have been looking at our fake newsreels and listening to our fake commentaries.
And they accept it for the truth. And you can do it. Stop 100 people in the street. How many of them have actually seen a missile or a satellite? They're just told they exist and they believe it.
Yes, you're getting there. I knew you would.
Well, now, the moon rocket and the satellite, that you can get away with. That's too remote for people to grasp. It's too far away. But this... I mean, you invented this village on the Indo-Chinese border.
Oh, yes.
Well, somebody could check up.
Very mountainous territory up there. There'll be no survivors in 1973. No rescue work. Radiation scare.
Yes. You can do it. This could be the news for 1973.
Not necessarily exactly like this. We only plan in detail 1 year ahead.
Oh, you only plan 1 year ahead.
Hey, tell me, What is the news item that's bothered you the most in the past year, 1967?
Oh, well, it has to be the new American intercontinental ballistic missile, the Boy Wonder, doesn't it?
Just the one I asked him to set up for you. The new ICBM, codename Boy Wonder, with a much-talked-about Mercury warhead. I haven't any special effects up here, but perhaps with the proper sound. Blast off. And Robert Larkin, television director, high IQ, 35 years old, is scared. Scared by nothing. It doesn't work. It's a scientific impossibility. The same goes for the much-talked-about Mercury warhead. Perspex.
Well, if this rocket doesn't work, then the others?
They have a fireworks party at Cape Kennedy almost every other day. Well, you didn't really believe there were all these things whizzing about up there, did you? Sputniks and rockets. Astronauts crossing their legs for 8 days.
How long has this been going on?
Since Hiroshima.
And the H-bomb, you mean, that doesn't work either?
Right. Dirty.
Very, very dirty.
What was your first reaction? Relief. Oh, yes. Yes, it has to be relief. Only 12 people are allowed beyond this point. Most of them work in the photographic department, taking phony newsreel pictures of our models and processing film and so on. Sit down, please. Ah, pretty pictures from our stills department. The Boy Wonder.
Do you really think that missiles and satellites are mile out of country?
No, not at all. I've only shown you the hard news. There are other things, much softer things we thought might interest you.
Well?
1973, we thought it might be time for an anti-teenage movement. A long-awaited return to maturity. Sherry. Perhaps even a religious revival.
Oh, I see. You want me to arrange the grand opening of Ruislip Cathedral. 1st of October, 1973. Mark the date down in my 10-year diary.
We are very serious about you. There are things about you we like very much. Qualities you have to offer. Qualities that we perhaps don't possess at the moment.
That's great.
Our file on you. I have to return to July the 25th, 1966, the day you broke it off with this girl, Sheila. You really did reveal rather a lot of yourself that day. But, of course, if you really mind...
Help yourself.
You said to her, it won't work, Sheila, and she said something, and then you said...
You remember I went away with Rachel and the kids to the seaside? It was midweek, and this huge stretch of sand was empty. Just a circle of footprints around 3 sandcastles and tracks out to sea. The whole damn day of my family marked out in front of me. The sun was going down. Rachel kept calling the kids to get dressed. She picked up buckets and spades, corny, bloody things like that. I was up at the car. I looked at those footprints, and I knew those people were slipping away. There were things I could tell them.
We rather like that bit about footprints. You see, in this job, some of us have got rather a long way away from the idea of footprints in the sand.
Those footprints were made by my children. Now, you want me to scare the hell out of them with every bomb from A to H inclusive. Well, why? I mean, when did it all start?
1945. You may remember the Americans let off their 2 atomic bombs. Well, they didn't want other people doing the same thing. I mean, you do see that, don't you?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, to scare the people off, the Americans put it out, and the atomic bomb was halfway along the line to something much bigger, the hydrogen bomb. It didn't work. They spent 5 years in negative research.
Well, what about the Russians? They're supposed to have quite a pile of these things.
We were surprised when they started their tests. Then we got a few feelers from their Secret Service. Nowadays, we work very closely together. Oh, all these stories about spies going off to Russia. Mr. Philby, remember? Just good copy for the Sunday papers.
Good copy. Well, the Chinese. I mean, they've just announced their bomb.
Yeah, we played along with it. We recorded their phony explosion. We're rather hoping the Chinese will come along, complete the pattern, you know.
In Vietnam, hundreds of people are being killed every week. Well, you can't do that with your models.
No. And you can't kill people of bad habits in 2 generations. They like to carry rifles. They like to put lines on maps. And we let them because we control the situation. There's no danger of world war. Just a simple choice for everybody. Capitalism or communism. Strawberry or vanilla. It all adds up to the same thing now we've got rid of the big bangers.
Well, how can you be sure that Johnson, Kosygin aren't working on other things? Poison gases, bacteria.
Pathetic, man of your intelligence. You don't want to destroy the world, neither do I. What makes you think that presidents are different?
Well, they've made some pretty good stabs at it in the past.
It wasn't the right sort of control then. Nowadays we know better. Politicians are easy to control. The grosser mentality boys who like to be photographed getting in and out of Daimlers in Whitehall. They come right at the bottom of our organization. A few rungs up the ladder, there are the people in the top secret factories. Just those in a position to know they're making weapons that don't really work.
But there must come a time when somebody wants to use one of those weapons. I mean, somebody is standing there with a finger on the button.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Nobody presses the button. We control all the crises. We build them up and we shut them down.
We? Again?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Near the top of the hierarchy, there are the economists, top civil servants, top brass in the military. Those men who are supposed to view the nuclear tests and so on. And above them, CWNS.
Right at the top. Classified World News Service. Just who the hell are you?
It's obvious, isn't it? Just a very few of the top people in communications in every major country in the world.
Oh, you mean you run all these magazines?
No, of course not. We just get them to take some of our copy every week. Television is much more important to us. It all happens so quickly.
Now, you say you can put out what pictures you like on television. Doesn't anybody try to stop you?
No, nobody wants to. 99.386% of the population wouldn't believe this conversation. And the rest are working for us. And they're the top minds, the really responsible people. They know they're guaranteeing the lives of their grandchildren the only foolproof way.
Scaring the hell out of their grandchildren. Well, I won't buy it.
You must admit there has to be some kind of control in this world of ours. Look at this. And remember that 1/4 of the world is starving. There are the full bellies and the empty bellies. Some of the empty bellies carry rifles. Well, we full bellies are getting a bit flabby. We're not very good with rifles anymore, so we've devised 2 ways to keep the empty bellies under control. One of them is this fictitious hydrogen bomb we've talked about. The other one is money. Enough money to fill some of the empty bellies and put a hopeful smile on the faces of the others. A great wall of money all around Britain. And it's no secret that the British economy is in trouble at the moment. So we have to put that right, too, to stay alive. We have to control the people in this country. Scare an ostrich, it buries its head in the sand. You scare a hedgehog, it rolls itself up into a ball. When a woman's frightened, she goes out and buys herself a hat.
You mean you scare us so that we'll buy more, so that money moves quicker, production moves up?
We don't say scare when we talk about human beings. We say threaten them emotionally. And there are all sorts of ways of not just the big ones like the hydrogen bomb. Overcrowd them a little with bad planning. Sell them too many motor cars. Anything to keep them a little bit removed from reality. Nowadays, people don't work for money. They work for the idea of money. They don't even love for love. They love for the idea of love. They only hate for the idea of hate. It took us 5 years to find a non-addictive drug, one we could pay off against the hard drugs. LSD.
You marketed that?
Oh, yes, of course. And for a very good reason. Some of these protest movements were getting a little bit too close to the mark. LSD gave them nice little hallucinations. Made them talk like 3-year-olds. Throw flowers at policemen. Shall we talk terms?
You're not still going to ask me to work for you.
I'm afraid I've had to put all this rather bluntly. You see, there wasn't really very much time. It must be rather a shock. Well, I mean, most people realize that the world is controlled from about 6 big cities. But it must be rather shocking to learn that a 1/6 of the world is controlled from this building.
You mean you?
Oh, no. I only rate an office on the 7th floor. There are 2 other offices above this one. And a giant computer system. Link number 4 in world control.
A computer?
And what's so remarkable about that? It's just a machine that can store a vast amount of information.
A machine that knows too bloody much.
Now you're being hysterical about it. The computer's very simple. You feed data into it. Anything from the Wall Street closing prices to the North Atlantic weather reports.
And you get decisions. That machine's taken you over.
It's just a machine. Extra hands for the people who know how to control it.
Well, this one above us, it's square in a box.
Yeah, I suppose you could call it square in a sort of a box.
Do you know why I go away at weekends? To get away from people in boxes. They live in boxes. They get their thoughts, their problems, and their answers out of boxes. And I like to get away at weekends because they're not people anymore. Now, you know all about me. My cottage in Hampshire. But did you know that there's a line of trees that goes right up past the house? And the noise they make is like the sea. Did you know that I find it difficult to sleep in the country? And I like to go and stand in the garden before dawn. And I feel good because I know that my wife and my children are asleep inside. And I like to go out and walk past the wet hedgerows until I can see pasture land and the smoke from the cottages in the
This
village.
may be all very well for one of your grassroots programs, but I'm afraid time is running out. I ought to tell you, we pay a great deal of money. We can afford to. We save such a lot on things like the national defense budget, so on. We would start you off at £250,000 a year.
Oh.
Rising to £1 million when you make the Ministry of Morality, which I know you will.
Will you let me out of here?
One little point. I should have told you about these surgical transmitters. There's enough of this stuff inside you at this moment to kill 6 people. There's a button we can press. I'm sorry about the dramatics. Our boys call these things the oral contraceptive. Keeps them from talking too much.
So there must be one of those transmitters inside you. Who presses the button? Extra hands. All this stuff about the computer being extra hands for the men who know how to control it. That machine controls you.
You start on Monday.
Early controversial classics from Dennis Potter next weekend with the first of the Nigel Barton plays on Saturday at 11:20. But next tonight, Tony Palmer's very personal film looking at the relationship between pop music, youth culture, money and violence. All My Loving in a moment.
Now, this movie clearly shows us that news is all pre-planned and that it has been this way for quite a long time. Does anything happen by chance? And does it get into the news? Anything that happens by chance? Of course. Those events are woven into the planned news narratives to further the deception agenda and convince people that the news is real and true. Because look, that just happened. So the news must be true, right? Wrong. There are certain stories that are woven into the narrative of the other stories that make you believe all the stories instead of just one or two of them. Very clever. It's interesting that the fake space program and nuclear bombs are central to the planned news in this movie. Because, of course, this was Cold War period, and a lot of the focus was on nuclear warfare, nuclear annihilation, the nuclear threat, etc. Now, this TV series ran from 1965 to 1973. It's interesting how they run these kinds of movie series for very specific periods of time. And let's run through the key ideas and time markers in this movie. I'll try to do this as quickly as I can. Okay, at 7 minute 16 mark, they are talking about secret agency looking for very select employees to create news 5 years in advance. Some of it 1 year in advance. And this is a secret news agency. That's what it's called in this movie. Now, at the 1 minute 29 mark and the 16 minute 28 mark, we'll hear about secret people or secret files on people of interest. Secret files. Well, they've had secret files on every living soul for a long, long time now. At the 8-10 minute mark, we can hear about news as the most highly developed form of fiction. The most difficult. Yes, because you have to convince people that it's true. It has to be believable. This is why they spend so much money on newscasting. The spell must be believable. And boy, it's powerful. Especially when all the TV stations are saying the same thing at the same time. That's powerful. Now, at the 7 minute 30 mark, I'm skipping around a little bit here because of different ideas. At the 7 minute 30 mark, they talk about the power elite, the corridors of power, right? This group that controls the news, our power elite. And this is where this power elite thing starts to come into play. Also, a little bit later, Illuminati comes into it. This is why people today, the humanists, call these people the power elite or the Illuminati or some other nonsense term, when it is in fact the Roman Catholic cult. But they'll never ever tell you that. At 5 minutes and 6 seconds, we hear about we see that the transmitter was surgically implanted without the patient's knowledge. Right? And we know that chips have been implanted in people's teeth, in their skulls, in different parts of their body while they were having surgical procedures. We know this is a fact, and here they are telling us about what was to come. At 5 minutes 23, talks about transmitter recording, this internal transmitter recording the pulse rate and speech and secrets of the person without them knowing. Excuse me. At 8 minutes 25, we're told that the news requires imagination. News requires responsibility. Responsibility to deceive. At 8 minutes 39, we hear about the surveillance society. We see this because cameras are monitoring people. They show us this. We're being watched. And this has increased exponentially in the last 20 years with very sophisticated digital cameras, CCD cameras. Cameras are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the recording devices are now almost microscopic. Unbelievable what they can do with technology and electronics. And at 9 minutes 35 minute mark, the 9:35 mark, we get news story of landing on the moon. At the 10:22 mark, we get news story about Icarus satellite, the ultimate weapon that can freeze air. That's a good one, freezing air. Turning air into ice. Unbelievable. At the 11:20 mark, we get news about China's nuclear attack on a fictional Indian mountain village. At 11:56, we can hear about models together with photography are used to make it appear real because it's cheaper. That's exactly what I've been saying for years now. All the space activity is done with CGI, green screens in a swimming pool. A swimming pool in Texas, the NASA facility in Texas, is deep space. And they were showing us here way back in 1968. At the 12-minute mark, we're told that people will accept the fake news reels as the truth. And they do. All over the world, in the billions, however many billion there are. At 12:07, we're told people have been watching fake news reels since 1958. At 12:13, we're told that no one has seen a satellite or missile. People just believe what they see on TV and are told in the news. Absolutely fact. What they see in the sky is not what they see on TV. They just believe it. At the 13:13 mark, plans and detail are only done 1 year ahead. So they've got the 1 year ahead, the 5 year ahead. Planning of news. News events that are made to occur before they happen. We're told these things are being planned long before they happen. They're made to happen. At the 13:24 minute, ICBM missile with nuclear warheads is a hoax. I've been saying this for years. At the 14-minute mark, nuclear missiles are a scientific impossibility. I've been saying this for years. At the 14:18 minute mark, NASA fireworks parties at Cape Kennedy almost every other day. Absolutely, this has been going on since the 60s, early 60s. And people believe that all these rockets are going into space because they see it on TV. The 14:24 mark, the gentleman says, you didn't really believe there were all those things whizzing around up there above you, did you? Sputniks and rockets, astronauts crossing their legs for 8 days. And then he laughs because it is laughable, because none of it is true. Astronauts crossing their legs for 8 days. At the 14:35 minute mark, how long has this been going on? Answer, since Hiroshima. Yes. In ever-increasing measure as technology got better and better, and the ability to use technology to deceive got better and better. At the 14:40 minute mark, and the H-bomb, that doesn't work either? Probably not. We don't know for sure, because they've shown us a lot of things, and how much is fiction and how much is fact is difficult to divide. At the 15:09 minute mark, only 12 people were allowed into the special effects studio. See, it is knowledge compartmentalization. People are only told what they need to know. They do a job. That's all they know about. They don't know anything else beyond what they're told to do. The compartmentalization of information is how NASA operates. That's why nobody in other departments knows what people are doing in other departments. They don't know. There is only a link at the top level. The people who know fully about the grand deception and control it. At the 15:09 minute mark, only 12 people allowed into the... Sorry, just said that. At the 15:41 minute mark, hard news and soft news distinction. Yes, there's the hard-hitting news, and then there's the soft, feel-good news. They mix it up to make it look like it's all the truth, that it's all truthful, and that, see, there's good news in the world just as well as there's bad news. In actual fact, there's not a lot of good news. Most of the things that are out there are causing havoc, chaos, death, and destruction every minute of every day that we're alive. At the 15:48 minute mark, time for an anti-teenage movement in 1973. A long-awaited return to maturity. You see, they infantilized the youth, kept them like children, gave them drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, kept them infantilized, stopped them from growing up. But now they're going to create a teenage movement and a return to maturity. This is how they control people. And particularly the 20th century, on a scale we have never seen in human history. And then in 1556 minute mark, perhaps, excuse me, perhaps even a religious revival. Think Billy Graham. Think all the TV preachers through the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. False religious revivals on TV. They were telling us people what they were going to do. And they did it. The 1830 minute mark, Russian Secret Service works with the British Central Planners. They all work together. As I've said in many videos, all intelligence agencies are controlled by the Jesuits from their central intelligence agency in Rome. At the 1837 minute mark, spies are just a fiction to sell Sunday newspapers. I've already done videos about spies and how it's all fake. And all these stories are nonsense. 1849 minute mark, Chinese H-bombs are fake, more than likely. But we don't know for sure. They certainly can't put them on a missile. So there's never going to be a threat of nuclear extinction or nuclear annihilation. No way. Never going to happen. If it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. Somebody would have pressed the button. But there is no button to press. 1858 minute mark. Everyone is working behind the scenes. Yes, the Jesuits are very busy working behind the scenes, as are select Masonic groups. 1908 minute mark. It takes more than 2 generations to cure people of bad habits and also to create bad habits. Cure and create. It works both ways. At the 1912 minute mark, there's no danger of world war because the militaries are all controlled. That is correct. The militaries are all controlled by the Jesuits. No one makes a move unless they're told to make a move. At the 1920 minute mark, the comment, there's just a simple choice for everybody, capitalism or communism. strawberry, or vanilla. It all adds up to the same thing now that we've gotten rid of the big bangers. So maybe there were big bangers, but maybe there's no more big bangers. Talking about nuclear firecrackers here. And there's only a two choice given to everybody: capitalism or communism. And of course, now we're heading towards one choice. The culmination of all things. No more choice. You either choose the beast or you're dead. Oh yes, you'll have a choice to choose the Lord Jesus Christ or the beast. But ultimately, one choice if you want to remain alive on this earth. At the 1938 minute mark, you don't want to destroy the world, neither do I. What makes you think that presidents are different? You see, nobody really wants to destroy the world. Why would the Jesuits want to destroy the world? Then there would be nothing to control. Satan loses by snuffing out humanity. It's humanity that he wants to destroy because we are the apple of God's eye. We are the pinnacle of God's creation. To destroy everybody is to negate the point of control. It's very important to understand this. If there's nobody to control, you're nobody. You're not a king. You're not a controller. You're not in power. You have power over nothing. You're just by yourself. So it's never been the purpose to destroy mankind in a nuclear holocaust. Never. That's just a fear tactic. And it's worked. Now, the 1945 minute mark. There wasn't the right kind of control in the past to stop the violence. Nowadays, we know better. Well, we know that's not true because the Jesuits and the Romans have been creating violence deliberately for 2,000 years. So, and more and more controlled as the last 500 years progressed, as they took control of all kings and queens and set up their intelligence agencies. It's become more and more controlled. The Jesuits have usurped more and more control over the last 200 years in particular. So before that, yes, there could have been more random violence, but not in this last 200 years. Everything planned and controlled. So there was no right kind of control. Sort of true. Nowadays we know better. Yes, we do. 1950 minute mark. Politicians are easy to control and are at the bottom of the organization. Yes, I would say so. At the bottom. They're just puppets, like Hollywood celebrities. And anybody else who's at the top in whatever activity they're involved in. At the 22 minute mark, not 22, but 20 minute, 2-second minute mark, people making weapons in the top secret factories know that they're making weapons, that don't work. I don't know about that. That there may be some part truth to that. I don't think so. Most of the weapons they've got now, they work. And the people that are making them know they work. And we've seen them work, particularly the DO weapons. They work all right. So there's some statements made in this video which do not line up with current reality, current truth. At the 2017 minute mark, he says that's the beauty of it. Nobody presses the button. Except at the end of this movie, we find out that somebody does have a button that they can press and exterminate you. So there's kind of an irony in this statement, nobody presses the button. Maybe nobody presses the button to wipe out everybody all at once. Maybe that's what he means. At the 2019 minute mark, we control all the crises. We build them up and we shut them down. That's the Jesuits. That's what they do. They make the crises, control the crises, shut down the crises, and start up another crisis somewhere else. They're so well practiced at this. At the 20-29-minute mark, near the top of the hierarchy are the economists, top civil servants, top brass in the military. Yes and no. The people at the top of the hierarchy are the Jesuits, the Illuminized Freemason Masonic leaders under them, and then under them come the top CEOs of corporations, and so on forth, down the ladder. So, economists at the top? I don't think so. Top civil servants? I don't think so. Top brass in the military? Maybe a few. So, there's some truth to this, and some of it is not, according to what we know, is not true. At the 20-40-minute mark, he says the CWNS, or the Classified World News Service, is at the top. So for him, it's a news agency in this movie. And of course, we know the Jesuits control the news, but it's not the news agencies that are at the top controlling everything. That's not true. That is a deception. He says just a few of the top people in communications in every major country in the world. That's a very, very nice decoy or deception, because that's not how it works. At the 21-10-minute mark, he says they don't run all the major magazines. They just get them to publish selected copy every week. TV is much more important to them. No, the Jesuits run it all through their Masonic corporations. They run all media. They control it all. So that's not true. At the 21-36-minute mark, he says 98.386% of the population wouldn't believe this conversation, and the rest are working for us. They're the top minds. They're really responsible people. And at 21-27, he puts the Masonic fingers to the temple gesture. Sorry, at 21-36. You can see him make the Masonic fingers to the temple gesture. So, is this true? Well, 98.386% of the population wouldn't believe the conversation. That's true. That little percentage at the top are the top minds? Yes, the Jesuit top minds, the Masonic top minds, not communication experts. So, at 21-38, he says they know that they are guaranteeing the lives of their grandchildren the only foolproof way. So this is humanism. They're guaranteeing the lives of their grandchildren in the future. Humanism 101. No, this is not about humanism. Although the beast system is humanist, this is Satanism. This is the worship of Satan through his beast ruler. So it's Satanism all the way to the top, not humanism. Although humanism is the road to full-blown Satanism. At 21-49, he says, you must admit there must be some kind of control in this world of ours. And there is. There must be some kind of control. Who said that? Who said that there has to be some kind of control? There doesn't, actually. It doesn't. Now, people will sort out their own problems if you give them the freedom, the time, the understanding. People will generally sort out their own problems. It is satanic intervention that causes most of the problems in the world today, although man is not without blame. Now, 22 minutes and 2 seconds, he says, there are the full bellies and the empty bellies. Two ways have been devised to keep the empty bellies under control: the fictitious H-bomb and money. Enough money to fill some of the empty bellies and put a hopeful smile on some of the others. There's some truth to that. There's certainly truth about poverty and hunger. It does motivate people in very bad ways. H-bomb, no. Money, Yes, money is a big motivator. At 22:27, he says, a great wall of money all around Britain to keep people fed and stave off a faltering economy in order to control people. There's some truth to this. When economies are good, people forget God. When economies are bad, people tend to suddenly think about God in their desperation. So yes, money stops people from thinking about God and solves problems temporarily. At 22:40, fear is used to stimulate people to buy more, threaten them emotionally, not scare them, threaten them. And there's some truth to that. People do buy impulsively under certain circumstances, and also when they feel very, very uncomfortable. They're looking for relief, looking for entertainment, looking for distraction from the problem. 2302, tactics used to keep people removed a little from reality. The H-bomb, overcrowding with bad planning, sell them too many cars. Yeah, some truth to this. Keep them removed a little from reality. 23 minutes and 2-second mark. Overcrowding with bad planning. That's what's going on now. They have planned really badly, deliberately, to cause a housing crisis all over the world. Done deliberately. Decades of government neglect in implementing proper housing as populations grow. Now we've got this craziness where people cannot get a home that is affordable. All deliberately planned and implemented. At the 23:13 minute mark, nowadays people don't work for money, they work for the idea of money. They don't even love for love, they love for the idea of love. They only hate for the idea of hate. There's some truth to what he's saying here. People have become so removed, so superficial, so inhuman, that there is some truth in this statement that he's making. People don't love anymore. They love for the idea of love because of what they see in a movie. They don't even know what real love is. They model what they do on these wicked scenarios in Hollywood movies. Now at 23:30, he says it took 5 years to find a non-addictive drug, one we could pay off against the hard drugs. There's the admission to using drugs to control people. LSD. And of course we know that LSD was deliberately introduced into the population in North America, Europe, via the CIA and its agents. No doubt about that. That's documented. The CIA have admitted it. So, that statement, there's a lot of truth to what he's saying here. At the 23:45 minute mark, some of these protest movements were getting a little bit too close to the mark. LSD gave them nice little hallucinations, made them talk like 3-year-olds, throw flowers at policemen, etc. And a lot of that did go on. So there is truth in that, because to a degree, that had already been happening since '66. So what he's saying there actually had already happened by '68. Finally, he says to the man, can we talk terms? At 23:58 minute mark. Can we talk terms? Now, he then says to the man who was about to walk out the door, most people realize that the world is controlled from about 6 big cities. It must be a shock to learn that a sixth of the world is controlled from this building. He says this at the 24:11 minute mark. Now, of course, we know that this is not true. But there is a grain of truth to it. He says at the 24:32-minute mark, a giant computer system, link number 4 in world control. A machine is extra hands for the people who know how to control it. That's true. That's what computers do. Extra hands for people who know how to control them. At the 25:16-minute mark, he says people who live in boxes get their thoughts, problems, and answers out of boxes and aren't people anymore. This is true to an extent. People have been dehumanized by work regimes, chasing after money, forgetting God. Yes. And people do live in boxes. At the 26:11-minute mark, we pay a great deal of money to people to do this job for us. Yes, that is true. At the 26:55-minute mark, he says, there's enough of this inside of you at this moment to kill 6 people. There's a button we can press. I'm sorry about the dramatics. Yeah, dramatics. And then at the 27:23-minute mark, he says, everyone in the know has a bomb inside. And then the guy asks, who presses the button? And of course, he doesn't get an answer. At the 27:35-minute mark, the machine controls you. And at 27:42-minute mark, you start on Monday. So this man had no choice but to take the job. So you can see there's a lot of truth in what is portrayed in this movie. Not totally, but very, very accurate predictive programming. Now, the most important takeaway from this movie occurs at the 5:06-minute mark, where we hear that a transmitter was surgically implanted without the patient's knowledge. We are told that it is a transmitter listening device. At 26:55, much later, we learn that the transmitter is also a bomb that can be remotely activated and kill the carrier if they cease to cooperate with the program. And no one knows who has the power to press the button or when. The movie talks about ICBMs as being fiction. It talks about satellites as being fiction. It talks about intercontinental nuclear warheads as a fiction. It talks about H-bombs as being fiction. It talks about the NASA space program as fiction. But this movie also talks about social engineering using religious revivals and other movements as real. It talks about a giant computer system as being real. It talks about social control by the use of drugs like LSD as real. It talks about a system based on duality with only 2 choices in politics as real. It talks about knowledge being compartmentalized on a need-to-know basis as real. It talks about secret files being kept on everyone as real. It talks about surveillance and the remote monitoring of personal pulse and speech and secrets as real. It talks about the creation of fake news stories and the control of those fake crises as real. It talks about all the intelligence agencies working together as real. It talks about control of the world from 6 cities as real, when in fact it is only 3. Rome, London, and Washington, D.C. It talks about coercion of targets to work for the system under threat as real. It talks about deliberate bad or no planning to negatively impact the availability of good housing and lifestyle as real. It talks about people being kept in poverty and hungry so they can be manipulated out of desperation as real. It talks about a giant computer system as real, as you talked about before. It talks about objectification of love by people and the objectification of other things by people as they dehumanize as real. It talks about fear being the stimulus to provoke and manipulate people as real. So this movie got a lot of things right about the way things are right now. Now, this movie scenario from more than 50 years ago is describing the marked tests and injections as something else. The implanted mic bomb not only kept the person under constant surveillance and control from fear, but could kill at any time, just like the COVID mRNA technology is currently doing. Everyone who has been injected is transmitting MAC address signals from their bodies. They're also receiving MAC as signals. So signals can be sent to trigger disease and death in the body via cell phone and Wi-Fi frequencies, as well as control, to some degree, thoughts and emotions. So we have been watching these satanic prophecies come to pass quickly during the last 5 years. The implanted technologies will soon be further enhanced by the final Mark of the Beast technology, the microarray microneedle patch, which will complete the program of physical enslavement. I have prepared a slide presentation about the patch that you might find helpful to piece everything together. If you haven't watched video number 363 titled Mark of the Beast, then I urge you to do so because it explains the Greek word charagma and the English word mark, translation from the Bible in Revelation 13. Once you understand the importance of that, then this video will make much more sense. Let's watch the slide presentation now. In slide number 1, we can see the title of this presentation, Mark of the Beast Map Patch. MAP, or MAP, stands for Micro and Needle Array. Micro Needle Array. The subtitle is Near Field Communications, or NFC, Infrared Body Implant. The picture in the back is a high-resolution microscope picture of the microneedle structures fixed to the array patch platform. Note the dual coloring of the needles. So, this presentation is essentially about the microneedle patch with a little bit of history thrown in and some other information as well. Near Field Communication, or NFC, is when two devices can communicate to each other without being linked by a cord. So if you're using Bluetooth between a mobile phone and a computer, then that is a type of near field communication. Now that can also be done with an implant in the human body, which is what this technology is all about. It's near field communications technology. And this is how the body will carry the technology that can be scanned, which will communicate to the beast blockchain system. Very important to understand this. A lot of people are still denying this reality that I am describing here. They're refusing to see it. Now, at the bottom of the slide is my website, darknessisfalling.com. Please go there and visit if you haven't already done so. I have no idea how long that site will remain online. I will keep it up as long as I can, but somebody else might take it down against my wishes. So do not take for granted that this information will just be there forever. If you have not visited there or have not used these facilities, use them while you can. All my videos can be viewed or downloaded from there, and my blogs can be read there. The website has more than 90 pages filled with information of all kinds about Bible doctrine and Roman Catholic Jesuit history collected over many years. It will not be there forever. There's also a page on the menu where you can download books and documents that are hard to find or out of print related to this topic, this huge topic. So please go there and use those resources while you can. Now, in this presentation, I will attempt to do a cursory overview of the microneedle patch technology, which is the mark of the beast. Yes, it is. It is the mark of the beast and will be implanted into the bodies of every living soul by way of deception before the end comes. People will not be asked if they would like to receive the mark of the beast, as some have absurdly been teaching. This is absurd. The Bible does not teach this. People won't even know about the mark of the beast or won't recognize it for what it is, just as they didn't know about the mark of the beast COVID-tested injections being mark of the beast technology and were deceived. People will not recognize the microneedle patch technology for what it is when it rolls out. And it in fact, it is already being used in Africa. Many women are using microneedle patch technology for cosmetics. And people are going to accept it when it arrives, and they're not going to be suspicious one little bit about it. Now, the goal of this presentation is to remind everyone once again about the danger of modern injectable technologies, and in particular, the microneedle patch, which may possibly replace syringes in many applications soon. Only this technology fulfills all the functions of the biblical description in Revelation 13. For a clear understanding of the word mark in Greek, please watch video number 363 titled Mark of the Beast if you haven't already done so. This is the key and link to understanding this current technology. The true understanding of mark could not have been understood prior to the year 2000. Could not. And it could not, and possibly as early as 1973, when this concept was first thought of and developed. It could not have been understood as being the ultimate mark of the beast. We know that we are living in the last times when this secret is revealed to God's servants just in time to warn his little flock of the danger of injections. Now, God said in Daniel in chapter 12 that in the time of the end, knowledge would increase, and it has exponentially, particularly in the last 50 years. This is also how we know that we are in the very last days. Our knowledge of what Satan is up to has been increased exponentially, and his final strategy to deceive and enslave all living souls has been exposed. The microneedle patch is the high-tech mark of the beast in the body implant, just as the scripture describes. Not in detail, but it does describe this. In slide number 2, we can see 4 different pictures from different periods of history and different parts of the earth relating to the procedure of variolation. People, and usually children, were subjected to a few different methods of this early form of vaccination. The dried powder of pus taken from cowpox sores was either blown up the nose of recipients with a long tube or was packed into a cut incised into an arm. The practice of cutting the arm, making a person bleed, was brought to England in the 18th century from Ottoman Turkey. And I discussed this to some degree in a number of previous videos, so I won't go into it at length here. So the practice of cutting for vaccination became the dominant form of vaccination until the mid-late to 19th century in Europe, America, Canada, and elsewhere. You can see the cutting tool that was used in the lower right corner of the slide. The basic idea or philosophy behind variolation, which I believe dates back to Babylon and maybe even before Noah's flood, is to obtain godlike health, strength, and longevity. People didn't understand the nature of sickness caused by chiefly bad food, water, and sanitation, and tried to inoculate themselves as an insurance policy against sickness. It was a form of insurance policy, but there was also a religious angle to vaccination, and there still is today, because it's all controlled by the Roman Catholic cult. So after millennia of kingdoms practicing variolation, it is now clear why plagues occurred. Bad food, bad water, bad sanitation, starvation, and poisoning by variolation. That's all it took. A convergence of all of these to cause widespread sickness and death. Just like today, people in the past refused to believe that variolation was deadly and could kill and continued to practice it. Nothing has changed. The lie then is the same as the lie today. Everything changed with advancing technology in the mid-19th century with the invention of the first hypodermic syringe. So the method of vaccinating changed dramatically in the mid-19th century. Now you can see in the slide, you can see the top left-hand side, you can see a woman having variolation practiced on her by somebody using the variolation knife where they slashed a wound, made it bleed, and then they packed the wound full of cowpox powder. And then they would put a bandage over it. And this powder would be transported by the bloodstream into the body. And many of these people died, became sick, and died from the very thing that they were supposed to be immunized against. You can see two pictures. The one in the top right is Korean, and that picture depicts the Joseon Dynasty period of dress. And you can see it in the lower left. That picture is from China. Both are using a long, narrow tube to blow cowpox powder up the nose of children. This was done for thousands of years. And it was not known about, over time, it was not known about in the West until the practice of variolation was brought to Europe from Ottoman Turkey. So this is what was going on for thousands of years. Disease was being spread by the practice of variolation, and many people died. In slide number 3, we can see 3 different pictures showing the development of the hypodermic syringe over more than 100 years. At the top is what is claimed to be the first syringe ever invented in 1853. There is some disagreement over who invented the hypodermic syringe. There is, however, consensus as to the year. In 1853, either Alexander Wood, a Scottish physician, or Charles Gabriel Pravez, a French surgeon, was first to develop a device recognizable as today's hypodermic syringe. More generous scholars contend that they did so virtually simultaneously. And yes, they probably did, because all doctors were Freemasons. And all medical physicians were visiting each other and gathering together in conferences and sharing ideas. So yes, more than likely, both of these surgeons had been talking about this idea of injection into the bloodstream. Now, in the right bottom of the slide is a picture of a syringe from the 1930s, I believe, and at the left bottom is a range of modern disposable syringes used today. The Jesuits were quick to see the potential of the syringe in dispensing vaccines quickly and efficiently into bodies by the turn of the 20th century. This invention enabled the Masonic medical authorities to perpetrate the first fake world pandemic in 1917, which was falsely called the Spanish flu. Thousands of U.S. Army men were injected first with experimental vaccines created by the Rockefeller Institute medical labs. Later, millions of civilians were injected with the poisons, resulting in a lethal death rate. The deaths were blamed on a new virus, The modern hypodermic syringe enabled the easy dispensing of toxic vaccines to up to 100 million people, most of whom died by between 1917 and 1921. So, from variolation to injection, the idea of improving health by introducing pathogens into the body to make it healthier and stronger is as old as the hills. But the results of modern vaccines are even more deadly today on community health. The third and final stage of mass poisoning of the body is the microneedle or MAP patch, microarray patch, employing advanced injection technology. This is what's been going on for thousands of years. And variolation is more than likely the cause of many of the plagues and many of the sicknesses that swept populations in the past, the far distant past. Excuse me. We're never told what the sickness was, where it came from, because the people in those days could not describe those things in modern medical terms. But a lot of it would have emanated from the practice of variolation on children. In slide number 4, we can see 3 pictures illustrating what a microneedle array looks like. The patches come in different configurations and it can be manufactured from a combination of different materials. Patches can now be printed quickly in volume using 3D printing technology. The picture in the top right of the slide shows the different lattice configurations the needles can be formed into. It is hard to believe that such a small device, when fully configured, can become such an effective agent of death called the mark of the beast. Some patches are even smaller than the one shown on the finger in the top left of the slide. The deception will be the claim by authorities that the patch is a convenient and pain-free way to vaccinate yourself at home, do-it-yourself style, and we'll see that in a minute. The final patch has nothing to do with the idea of vaccinating. The final patch will have needles made of rare earth metals that will form a semiconductor or chip array under the skin. These needles will store personal information, act as a tracker transmitter, and enable NFC or near field communication scanning in order to connect to the internet blockchain and to buy and sell. Now, ultimately, the patches will poison the body because the rare earth metals in those little needles is toxic to the body, and those who took the mark will suffer horribly physically. Microneedle patch injections will be the final stage in the history of vaccination, or as I like to say, the history of marking of mankind. Because all vaccination, from variolation through to injection, is marking. It's been a long marking program that Satan has been introducing to mankind under the guise of better health. Absolutely satanic. In slide number 5, we can see the opening page of the Vaxxus website, which is vaxxus.com. This Australian company has been supported financially by many world entities. It has only one task, and that is to develop and manufacture the final mark of the beast microneedle array patch. This it has been doing since around 2012. And you can see in the slide, rethinking what's possible with vaccines. Well, they're going to use the microneedle patch for every single sickness and bodily affliction known to man, which is going to increase the level of sickness exponentially. Now, do the people making these patches believe that what they're doing is a good thing? Yes. They're totally deceived. They have no idea of what the effect is going to be on people. In slide number 6, we can see another page from the Vaxxas website titled Technology Platform. Their prime purpose has been to develop an easy-to-use, do-it-yourself stamp microneedle patch, which can be seen in the picture. The company has no other products or services. That sounds a little suspicious to me. A single product company, really? There are single product companies out there, but for this, it's very suspicious. And you notice how the patch is held on the upper left arm. They don't want to show that it being used on the right hand. So they always use the left upper arm or the left lower arm. Do you think they know something about what the Bible says? I believe so. In slide number 7, we can get a closer look at the do-it-yourself one-use applicator map or microarray patch on another web page that Vaxxas has spent nearly 15 years and tens of millions of dollars developing. And it's developed, people. You can see the product there. It's fully developed in its packaging. Integrated single-use applicator from Vaxxas. What a name. Total mockery of human intelligence. Come and vax us. In slide number 8, we can see another web page from the Vaxxas website that shows an exploded view of the different components that make up the do-it-yourself stamp vaccine applicator. It is clear that every attempt was made to make the package look friendly, appealing, and convenient. Satan is going to deceive people by what they see with the eye and by convenience. The same things that he deceived Eve with in the garden. In slide number 9, we can see a short list of news announcements from the Vaxxas.com website. They have been in operation since 2010 with one goal, and that is the realization of the do-it-yourself map or microarray patch for the purpose of vaccination. That's it. That's their sole reason for existing. I only became aware of Vaxxas in 2020, but have been exposing their mission since then at regular intervals. Notice how the announcements start in 2012. And you're reading in the slide at the bottom, October 9th, 2012 is their very first news announcement. Vaxxas initiates program with Merck Sharp and Dome, to optimize delivery of next-generation vaccines utilizing novel mechanism for immune system activation. Right from the start, they knew what the plan was. Very first announcement on their website. Then May 17th, I'm jumping all the way to 2022. They've got a news announcement, get a jab without the jab. Ha ha, very funny. July 27th, 2022, Vaxxas patch worked for all COVID strains. There you go. So already in the middle of 2022, they had the patch, but they didn't roll it out. Why not? Because it wasn't time. That's why. The beast has a timing, and he had to put time between this last COVID fake pandemic exercise and the next one. February 16, 2023, vaccines based on mRNA need to get out of the freezer. That's right. Those pesky freezers. Remember the freezers? All the COVID vaccines had to be kept at minus 80 degrees Celsius during the fake pandemic? Yeah, well now you don't have to do that anymore. Isn't that convenient? November 27, 2023, Vaxxus announces and publishes successful Phase 1 clinical trial for measles and rubella vaccine delivered using its proprietary HD map plan for Phase 1 and 2 trial in the Gambia, Africa. That is come and gone, people. People are already being vaxxed with microneedle patches. Now, the beast microneedle patch lies ahead of us, but they're already using patches. People have accepted them as being easy, convenient, and wonderful, wonderful technology. April the 8th, 2023, a silver lining. How COVID ushered in a vaccine golden era. And this is from The Guardian. They're posting an article from The Guardian. They had this idea and they had developed the microneedle patches long before 2023. How COVID ushered in a vaccine golden era must be relating to mRNA vaccines, not the microneedle patch, because they were not talking about that at all. They were keeping it under wraps during between 2020 and 2024. So, from these news announcements, it's very clear that what Vaxxus was set up to do and what it has accomplished to create the microneedle patch mark of the beast technology. In slide number 10, we can see 3 very recent announcements from their news page from the Vaxxus website from this year. Microneedle patch technology is not future. They are already being used, like I said, for measles injections on children in Africa. Mark of the Beast technology is already rolled out and is here now. So you can see these 3 announcements. February 19th this year, Vaxxus completes enrollment for largest clinical trial of HD map for vaccine delivery. March 5, newly published data supports effective delivery of DNA-based vaccines using Vaxxus HD map. March 19th, Vaxxus secures U.S. patent for needle-free vaccination manufacturing technology. It's all a go, people. It's all happening. It's happening right now. And this will soon roll out. In slide number 11, we can see a good cross-section of corporations that have been supporting Vaxxus in every way from Australia, the USA, Canada, and Europe. These Roman corporations have been ordered to cooperate with Vaxxus to get the microneedle patch technology ready for market. Now, BARDA, or the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, is an American government initiative. Merck & Co. is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. The Wellcome Trust is a charitable foundation focused on health research based in London, in the United Kingdom. It was established in 1936 with legacies from the pharmaceutical magnate Henry Wellcome to fund research to improve human and animal health. Now, the AmCham, or American Chambers of Commerce, or the United States Chamber of Commerce, or the USCC, is a business association and advocacy group. It is the largest lobbying group in the United States. The mission of the WEF, or World Economic Forum, is to bring together government, businesses, and civil society to improve the state of the world. Excuse me. Harrow Hoflager, or HH, develops and manufactures production and packaging equipment as a hidden champion for customers around the world. The University of Texas and the University of Sydney are world-renowned medical research centers. Research Australia is an Australian government research funding organization. CEPI, or CEPI, or Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, founded by the Gates Foundation and the government of Norway. MICYRN, or MICYRN, or Maternal, Infant, Child, and Youth Research Network, is a Canadian federal government not-for-profit charitable organization founded in 2006 to build capacity for high-quality applied health research. Excuse me. The Australian government, the US government, and the American National Institute of Health combined with these other corporations makes the Vaxxas project a very powerful worldwide Roman venture. The funding from all these entities amounts into the hundreds of millions of dollars. So much money has been thrown at the Vaxxas vaccine patch enterprise that they are building a new large-scale state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Queensland, Australia, with only producing one product, microneedle patches. Unbelievable. In slide number 12, we see the homepage of Vaxxas Technologies based in Massachusetts in the USA. This company started around the same time as Vaxxas in Australia in 2012. Coincidence again? I don't think so. The similarity in name is also not coincidental. A lot of money has also been pumped into this company, which, like Vaxxas, has only one product, and that is a do-it-yourself microneedle patch applicator. And thanks again to Tricia in Texas for alerting me to this company and sending me the link. Very nice. Thank you to all the people who have helped out in alerting me to many, many things. In slide number 13, we see a web page illustrating the Mimics do-it-yourself microneedle patch applicator. It is very similar to the stamp applicator package that Vaxxas has developed. These two corporations seem to be the two evil twins with a similar background and mission. Coincidence? No, sir. I just want to say here that there are many other companies producing microneedle patches. Not just Vaxxas and Vaxxas. So, there are companies producing microneedle patches. Some will be involved in the Mark of the Beast microneedle manufacturer process. Some are manufacturing microneedle patches for other applications, such as cosmetics. So there is many things going on here, but Vaxxas and Vaxxas seem to be the two evil twins that the Jesuits have raised up, created to create a very easy to use, do-it-yourself Mark of the Beast microneedle patch applicator. In slide number 14, we can see another web page promoting the product as pain-free with the option of many vaccines available. Since we know that vaccines for health and disease prevention is a lie, we know that these applicators are going to serve up one thing, and that is, maybe two things, disease and death. In slide number 15, we can see 6 steps to home delivery and do-it-yourself application of the microneedle patch. How convenient. Ignorant, wicked people are going to run to get these patches, and they're going to order them from Amazon or wherever they can get them online. And when they finally roll out, because they will not know anything about the Mark of the Beast and what it means. They will be totally ignorant of Mark of the Beast truth. And many of those people will be so-called terror Christians. In slide number 16, we can see some news announcements taken from the Vaxxas news webpage. Notice, just like Vaxxas, how the announcements start in 2012. And you can see at the bottom of the slide, June 12, 2012, Harvard entrepreneurs weave silk with science. So it's just another variant on the microneedle patch technology. And you can see 2013, Harvard iLab sprouts startups, Nucleic, Pole Vaulter, Vaxxas, and more. So it's all being done through universities, Jesuit-funded and controlled universities, and their research adjunct research facilities. April 6, 2015, Vaccess Technologies awarded NSF and NIH grants. March 2017, Vaccess received $6 million from Gates Foundation to develop microneedle patch vaccines. August 2020, Vaccess announces federal contract for development of the Mimics Smart Release Patch platform. January 2021, Vaccess Technologies awarded NSF and DARPA funding for development of mRNA-based single-dose refrigeration-free vaccine patch. See how they're all involved, people, but how the Jesuits have kept it under wraps. You got to go looking for the fine details. You got to go searching and hunting to find all the connections between all these organizations, from government right down to science labs. August 23rd, 2023, Vaccess to collaborate with AstraZeneca and evaluate novel patch delivery technology and an RNA-based pandemic influenza prototype vaccine. Notice how AstraZeneca, Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna have all just kind of, Johnson & Johnson have just sort of faded out, and now they've got a whole bunch of new companies manufacturing this final injection. In slide number 17, we can see the homepage for the Micron Biomedical website. The title states, "The Future of Therapeutics in the Palm of Your Hand." And that's exactly what they mean, because the palm is part of the right hand. Excuse me. Microneedle patches are going to be used for everything and anything related to health issues. It is going to be a slaughter once people en masse apply these patches to their bodies. The dead are going to be piling up everywhere, but we probably will not see this. In slide number 18, we can see that the big target for the Jesuits is children, using children's vaccines. And we know that the vaccines are causing all these afflictions, many of these afflictions. So the patch is just going to increase the cycle of sickness and disease. But the target is children, and all the vaccine's parents are told falsely that their children need to receive to be healthy and to be allowed entrance to schools. Right now, African children are being targeted in giant vaccine catch-up campaigns, including the use of microneedle patches, which you can see right there in the picture, that poor little African child being microneedled with the mark of the beast patches. Unbelievable. Cannot believe my eyes when I see these pictures. How prophecy is coming to pass before our very eyes. So sad. These little children have absolute trust in adults and have no idea what is being done to them. Many, many, many have died, and many, many, many more are going to die. In slide number 19, we can see a close-up of the microneedle patch that Micron has developed. It doesn't have the cool do-it-yourself can-type applicator being marketed by Vaccess and Vaccess, but is more do-it-yourself press-and-hold Band-Aid style application. The slide says, no needles, many applications. Yes, I'll bet. In slide number 20, we can see the patch being applied to the left wrist. Once again, all of these microneedle patch developer companies have avoided photographing a patch on the right hand and certainly not the forehead. Why is that? Once again, do they know what the Bible says? Or is this being done from ignorance and arbitrary choice? I wonder. I really do wonder about that. And you can see in the slide, anytime, anywhere, access. No needles, no hypodermic syringes needed anymore. How convenient. In slide number 21, we see a 4-step microneedle patch application diagram from the Micron instruction page on the website. 1, 2, 3, 4 to receive the mark of the beast. It's that easy when you don't know what you're doing. Unbelievable. In slide number 22, we can see a range of 6 of the latest press release news items from Micron Biomedical for 2024 and 2025. Reading from the top row from the left and then bottom row from the left. You can see in the slide, Micron Biomedical extends Series A financing to 33 plus million to accelerate commercialization of needle-free therapeutics. In the middle, at the top, Micron Biomedical wins $2 million BARDA competition for its collaboration with Zip Code Bio to develop mRNA-based broad microneedle patches, I guess. And on the right, KEPI and Micron Biomedical accelerate needle-free vaccines against disease X with $3.7 million grant to advance learnings. In the bottom in the left-hand corner, Micron Biomedical secures $43 million in total grant support to improve coverage of measles and rubella vaccine. Center bottom, Micron Biomedical recognized as a breakthrough scientific innovation in the pre-Gallian startup category. And bottom right, Micron Biomedical wins the Biotech Medical Innovation Award at Boston Biotech Week. Wow. So it's not just Vaxxus, it's not just Vaxxus, it's not just Micron Biomedical. These are all receiving grants and funding from the same organizations, a cross-section of the same organizations. So it's going to be a range of these products with different brand names on them, rolling out as the mark of the beast to deceive every living soul. Just like they did with their 23 different mRNA vaccines. No, people. They're all the same. Same technology, one giant deception with the appearance of choice. It's the appearance of choice. It's an illusion because there is no choice. They're all the same. So you can see the earliest 2 announcements are from 2018, but reference to microneedle patches first appears in 2019. So Micron Biomedical is being started up a little bit later, not as early as 2010, 2012. It's appearing in 2018, 2019 with microneedle patches. And here are the earliest press releases. From January 2019, microneedle patch technology shows potential for long-acting contraception. These are going to be used also for contraception. And maybe they're already being used in some countries. And women have no idea what this is all about. November 2020, Micron developing microneedle technology for self-administration of vaccines and therapeutics. So there you go, people. It's all in the news announcements on just these 3 main companies. But there will be others marketing this technology as being different than the others. But it will not be different. Now in slide number 23, we see a compilation of 6 images showing what people have been claiming for years now is the mark of the beast. And these are all deceptions. The internet has been flooded with these kinds of photos, and they have deceived many. None of these fake marks pass the test of Scripture. A 666 or barcode tattoo in the forehead or right hand is just plain silly. Silly, people. It's absolutely silly when you know the truth. People would openly refuse to wear these. They just wouldn't. These also cannot be used to track someone or hold all their data in the body or buy and sell, because they can be copied by anyone. They can be copied and maybe even removed from the surface of the skin. It's just nonsense. The tattoo on the left is not permanent and can be damaged easily, so is not the biblical mark of the beast either. You can see the one on the left in the middle, that skin tattoo, where the skin is being wrinkled. Neither is the Neuralink implant in the brain in the picture on the bottom right. Billions of people are not going to have a hole drilled in their skulls. How do you interface with the internet easily and quickly with this device? It's just nonsense. It may have certain applications for dysfunctional people, but that's it. Finally, the long cylindrical glass microchip transmitters shown in the left bottom picture in the slide and in the center are definitely not the mark of the beast. These chips can be removed if there is a change of mind. The microneedle patch can't be removed, and neither can the technology injected into the body before it. All the COVID vaccine injections, 5 of them so far. The microneedle patch is number 6. That's right. There will be 6 injections altogether. There's a big gap between the third booster and the final microneedle patch implant. And these technologies all work together in the body. The microneedle patch implant can be waved at a point of sale scanner, a POS scanner, or scanned by mobile phone infrared app to connect to online accounts. All a person's data is stored in the implant. Wallets and cards are no longer required. The implant stores in your right hand or in your forehead, stores all personal data necessary for any application in the beast system. Many people have been deceived by these false marks. These pictures are plastered all over videos on thousands and thousands and thousands of so-called truth channels. And they have deceived many. Because of this, they have taken the COVID tests and injections, not realizing that they are indeed the mark. You see, when you believe that any of these pictures are the mark of the beast, you're not going to be dissuaded or prevented or alerted to the COVID injections and tests being the mark of the beast. That's the wickedness of showing these false pictures in an incorrect fashion. And you can see the one in the middle definitely does that. The Bible Revelation 13, 16, 17, mark of the beast. That is not the mark of the beast. Not according to the scripture and the qualities or the necessary attributes that the mark of the beast must have. The people who push this false information for years on the internet will give an account to God for being so careless in not thoroughly double-checking the scriptures and modern technology. These pictures were used for sensationalism, to get clicks on videos. In actual fact, they are clickbait. And woe unto the people that did this willy-nilly just to build a channel based on clicks and likes. God help them. Because many people believing that those things were the mark of the beast were deceived and took the shots. Now in slide number 24, we see 3 pictures of people scanning their hands next to a point of sale electronic funds transfer reader, or an EFT reader. These pictures are correct. This is how people will scan their microneedle patch implant to buy and sell. A portable handheld reader will scan the patch implant in the forehead. All shops have a portable handheld infrared reader, which the person can lean over and scan your grocery barcodes with it. Everyone has these handheld readers. Every shop has these point of sale EFT readers. A mobile phone with IR app will be used to scan the implant in the right hand or forehead to connect to the internet and online accounts. Excuse me. Once again, 2 pictures show the left hand being used, but this is not how it will be. It will only be the right hand. The Bible is never wrong. God is never wrong. These pictures, even these pictures, although the methodology is right, the hand they're using, except for the picture on the far left, there you see the right hand being, the right wrist being scanned. That is correct. That's the most accurate picture I've seen thus far of the mark being scanned in the right hand. The Bible is never wrong, people. Everyone will be marked in the right hand or forehead just as the Bible states. Only the tiny microneedle patch can be used easily in these locations and applications. Also, the implant can't be seen. It's invisible to the eye. There is nothing marring a person's bodily or physical appearance. This is the truth, people, of what the microneedle patch implant under the skin is going to be when it finally rolls out. And if we are alive, we will see this happen. Once again, I hope that the combination of pictures and commentary helps you to understand how real this mark of the beast microneedle patch deception really is. Virtually no one sees this deception coming right at them, and very soon. My first mention of the microneedle patch device was in June 2020 in video number 76, and my first mention of Vaxes is in video number 101, titled The Sea Beast and the Earth Beast, posted October 2020. And I have mentioned this company in 9 videos since that time. So it's not as if it hasn't been there. It has been there, but people did not see it. Why? Because they were looking at the wrong thing, which did not line up with Scripture. That's why. Now, remember the COVAX initiative in 2020? Maybe you remember this. Led by Kepi, Gavi, and the WHO, the World Health Organization. Something called the ACT Accelerator that supposedly sped up the search for an effective vaccine for all countries and at the same time. It was supporting the building of manufacturing capabilities and buying supplies to make 2 billion doses of vaccine available by the end of 2021. Do you remember that? This system of organizations will spring into action again soon for the rollout of the microneedle patch. For whatever reason they choose to use, whether it's another pandemic, whatever it is, they're going to need some kind of reason to roll this out and get everybody to take it. And I'm not quite sure whether that is another pandemic or not, but it could be. Nobody knows. So this whole system of organizations, KEPI, Gavi, WHO, and all those organizations I showed you in the slide that supported Vaxus and Vaxis, and that also support Micron Biomedical, they're going to jump into action at the snap of a finger for the microneedle patch rollout. And meanwhile, the digital money, excuse me, the digital money also just keeps rolling out. You see? They are going to converge at some point very soon because they're both necessary for each other. They're symbiotic. You can't have one without the other. They must converge, come together at a particular point in the near future. Now, in this next 8-minute 44 video from the World Affairs in Context YouTube channel, posted March 2025, we can hear all about the rapid approach of the rollout of the ECB, or European Central Bank digital currency. The commentator is a humanist and questions why it is necessary for central banks to have total control over people's finance. She has no idea about why, and like all the others, doesn't know what has been planned and what is coming. She, like many other humanists, believe that there will be an alternate system like cash or cards, so people will have a choice about how they buy or sell. What does the scripture tell us? Revelation 13, verses 16 to 17 states clearly, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man or woman might buy or sell, save he or she that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." Now, the mark is tied directly to the money. There is no division here. There is also no choice. And that means one system with no alternatives, no competition. Who takes the mark in the right hand or forehead? All do. All living souls who have submitted to the beast. Why do they take the mark? So that they can buy and sell. Without it, they can't. That's an exclusive, single system with central control. That's what it's describing there. Now, this is clearly describing, like I said, a system of total central control. And the Romans love central control. Choice means freedom. No control. No personal control. People who believe there will always be a choice are ignorant of what God is telling us in His Word, how things will be at the end. Do not divide mark and name and number of the beast from each other like some people are doing online. It's wicked, very misleading. I have explained before that they are all one and the same. God is being very detailed here. Remember that people 1,000 or 2,000 years ago only recognized the name of the beast because his number had not appeared yet, right? Not until 380 did the beast's number, his title, Filii Vicarii Dei, right? That name did not appear until centuries after the first century. So they only recognized his name. Then over time, the number 666 for the papal beast became known. And then finally, in this last 15 years or so, the mark, the microneedle patch mark and how it will be applied has been made known to us by revelation. Now, are all those COVID injections the mark? Yes, they are. I'll tell you why. The tests and the injections are the mark because they are all contributing to the formation, the control of the body with the technology that's been implanted. The previous injections, COVID injections, all work together with the implant mark to make a total body system, technological system of control. It turns the body into a one big antenna. And we've all seen videos explaining this. So I don't need to explain this again. So please watch this video, listen carefully, and I'll see you afterwards.
A financial reset is only months away. Christine Lagarde, the head of the European Central Bank, announced that there is a new push to accelerate the transition to central bank digital currencies, a digital euro. She's working closely with European Council, she said, and European Commission to put in place the infrastructure that is needed to implement the CBDC. Lagarde indicated that the deadline is October of 2025. That's right, you heard it right. The deadline for a digital euro rollout is October of 2025. In fact, it is only several months away. The head of the EU Central Bank urged EU Parliament to finalize the legislative process, without which, she says, it will be impossible to roll out the digital euro. Now, this does pertain to wholesale CBDCs and retail CBDCs. If you're not too familiar with the difference between the two, a wholesale CBDC is used by large institutions, by large banks, by commercial enterprises to settle multi-million-dollar transactions for foreign direct investment transfers, and so on and so forth. So think large-scale financial transactions. While retail CBDCs are for consumers to make everyday purchases, to save and to invest. So here is Christine Lagarde making this important announcement. Take a look.
On your second point, I tend to share your views. Nature doesn't like vacuum. And we started working on the digital euro way back. Actually, when I started my term 5.5 years ago. And I'm not claiming, parentality on the digital euro, because my colleague Benoît Cœuré had already committed a speech on this matter before I arrived. But I certainly carried on with that project, and subsequently Fabio Panetta on the board and then Piero Cipollone, who has replaced Fabio, have taken the lead together with a very, very good team which is focused on accelerating the pace and hopefully campaigning enough with all the stakeholders, meaning European Parliament, meaning European Council, meaning European Commission, so that we can eventually, not put to bed, but put to reality this digital euro. The deadline for us is going to be October of 25, and we are getting ready for that deadline, but we will not be able to move unless the other parties, the stakeholders, as I call them, Commission, Council, and Parliament, actually complete the legislative process, without which we will not be able to move. And I think it is critically important, and it seems to the agnostic or the skeptics, it seems to be more relevant and more of an imperative now than ever before, both on the wholesale and on the retail level, both.
Europe is on track to have the digital euro rolled out in just a matter of months. This means that pilot programs have been completed, presumably, and effectively they're just finalizing the legislature, as Lagarde stated in her video, for the EU to adopt its very first, the first ever, fully controlled central bank digital currency. Global central banks work closely with the Bank for International Settlements. The BIS is frequently referred to as the central bank of central banks. Its managing director, in a now notorious video, clearly indicated that once a CBDC is rolled out, the issuing entity, which is de facto a government of a state, via its central bank, will have full control of how that currency is used. This is because banks have to comply with government regulations and with the laws. So the managing director of the BIS is named Augustin Carstens. You will see the video in a second. And effectively in this video, he is explaining that CBDCs are intended for control. That is the purpose, not stopping crimes as some may claim. Here's the clip, take a look.
Our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
It goes without saying that CBDCs are a great risk to our personal freedoms because a CBDC is owed not by you, but by the issuing entity, a central bank, which means effectively the government. Its functionality depends on the features that are turned on, which are, of course, determined by the government. So there may be an option to block payments of an individual who might be, let's say, blacklisted, who doesn't comply, who doesn't comply with the laws and requirements. So, for example, if a person goes on protests against what he or she believes is a violation of human rights, such as, let's say, maybe he does so on a university campus, that person may be banned from being able to purchase groceries or gasoline, for example, or to be able to travel. Another feature of a CBDC that you may want to be aware of is real-time transaction tracking. Unlike a traditional currency banknote, a digital euro retains full information of its previous owners and also the transactions that they've conducted. So while it may be able to simplify efficiency, it makes things efficient, transactions are settled in real time, sure. However, I think it does infringe upon our personal freedoms in a way unseen before. The third feature worth reminding you of is an expiry date. CBDCs, or a digital euro in this particular case, may have an expiration date. So you may not be allowed to save it. You can either spend it or lose it. Needless to say, other restrictions might be put in place as well, such as limits on withdrawals, on what may or may not be purchased with that particular CBDC, and even your taxes. Those may be withdrawn by the IRS automatically, for example. So there's no sane person who would choose to use a CBDC voluntarily, in my personal opinion. Let me know what you think, instead of regular cash or regular transaction methods, because there is absolutely no need for the government or a central bank or even your financial institution to have absolutely unlimited control over your personal finances. Well, now it appears that Christine Lagarde is telling us that in October, a reset is indeed coming. Are you ready to adopt a CBDC? If you're in the EU, let us know how you feel about this news. And of course, what are your thoughts and plans if you are in the EU? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear from you.
The distinction that is being made once again between private and public digital currencies is a deception. They are all the same. It doesn't matter whether it's a CBDC, whether it's a tether coin, a stable coin, Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. They are all the same. They are digital currencies, which can all be merged together just like that. They're just blips on a computer screen. The ECB, CBDC, the European Central Bank digital currency, is not a reset, as this woman said. It is just a part of the total world reset, which was kicked off by the COVID fake pandemic PSYOP in November 2019. The total reset in every area is preparing the way for the final Mark of the Beast installment. Now, China has been exploring a potential digital currency since 2014, although the first actual test of the CNY system was not until 2020, with an initial trial launch in Shenzhen, Suzhou, Chengdu, and Zhong'an. These tests were expanded in 2021 to Hainan Province, Shanghai, and a number of other cities. The CBDC in China is no longer a test. China has had a CBDC now for at least 3 years or more. Now, Russia launched the digital ruble in 2023. The Bahamas, believe it or not, were the first to launch their digital CBDC called the Sand Dollar in 2020. Many other countries already have a CBDC, and the United States will announce one very soon. An online statement says this, and I quote, "The USA has not yet launched a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. While the Federal Reserve is exploring the potential benefits and risks of a digital dollar, it has not been launched, and there is no confirmed timeline for its development. The Federal Reserve has stated that it will seek congressional approval before issuing a digital dollar." Unquote. None of this is true. It's a lie. The CBDC is here and will roll out shortly in line with all the other Roman provinces that have already rolled it out. Some have not announced it, but it's already been rolled out. The United States has a CBDC, and they are just hiding it because they got to wait until Donna Trump fulfills her agenda. Now, how long will that take? I don't know. But I'm willing to bet that by October, when the European Central Bank rolls out its CBDC, so will Washington. I could be wrong, but if not before, at that time, I guess is a good time for a rollout. They are just, the CBDC is here. It'll roll out very shortly. They are just playing games with news stories to keep people guessing and deceived. And while people are playing around with cryptocurrencies, people are losing money hand over fist. Playing with cryptocurrencies. It's a very dangerous game of gambling. And in the end, everybody's going to lose everything anyways. So, here's another very short 57-second video of Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, speaking about the reasons for the ECB CBDC. Boy, that's a mouthful. Listen very carefully to what she says. You need to read between the lines and figure out what she is not saying and what is code. She is a high-level Satanist. She is well practiced at beast speak, like they all are at the very high levels. So you got to be got to pay very close attention to what she is saying to us. So please watch this short video, and I'll see you afterward.
I'm not impressed by cryptos. As I said, I see them as liabilities more than assets. I respect that people want to produce speculative instruments. If they're prepared to lose it all, that's fine. I'm very concerned that it's seducing young people who don't really understand what they're getting into. And one of the reasons I have pushed our project of the digital euro has to do with the fact that our societies are becoming more and more digital, and we cannot just operate with central bank money comprised of banknotes, coins, and I'm convinced that we must be able to produce a digital central bank currency. That's what we should be able to produce, as well as having a payment infrastructure that is conducive to fast, cheaper, more efficient payments cross-border.
Okay, let's examine the 5 key points of what Christine Lagarde said. Number 1, she's not impressed by cryptos, public cryptos, because they are liabilities more than assets. What a joke. What a complete joke. They are all the same, and they are all liabilities. Number 2, she calls crypto speculative instruments where people have the choice to lose their money if they desire. She's talking about public crypto as opposed to central bank private crypto. You see? That's the thing to understand here. Speculative instruments. They're all speculative. And they're all the same. She's trying to differentiate. It was one being risky and the other one has no risk. That's what the thinking is. They want us to believe that central bank digital currency is safe, right? Safe, no risk. But those other ones, oh, they're risky. Yeah, right. Number 3, she's concerned that young people are being seduced by crypto and don't understand what they're getting into. She's concerned about young people? I doubt it. They don't know what they're getting into? That's true. They have no idea. They're going to lose it all. This way or that way, they're going to lose it all anyways. Number 4, she's pushing the ECB, CBDC, because our society is becoming more digital and we can't just operate with CB money comprised of banknotes and coins. Really? Why not? Talk about that in a minute. Number 5, payment infrastructure with a fast, cheaper, more efficient payment system across borders. What's wrong with the payment system now? Works pretty good. Everyone's using it. Very few are complaining about it. See, they're just excuses. They don't hold any water at all. Lagarde is very clear here that there will be no more cash or coins because it's now become inefficient. And we can't have 2 systems now, or 3 systems, can we? No, not in the beast system. What she's saying is a lie, right? There's absolutely no reason why they can't have 2 or 3 money systems running concurrently. We've had that. We've been enjoying that since the 1960s when credit cards took off. Credit cards are just digital money. There's no dollar bills or coins attached to a credit card. That's all they are, digital money. Just as Augustin Carstens, the general manager of the BIS, or Bank of International Settlements, stated in the first video, CBDCs are about control. Absolute, total, tyrannical control over who gets what. Did you hear Augustin Carstens' short little clip in the first video? If you didn't hear him, go back and listen to it again. This guy is the top of the ladder of central banks. He's at the top. Look how fat he is. My goodness. He eats well because he gets paid well to do what he does. He's probably a really, really faithful Roman Catholic who has no idea exactly what's going on. Probably thinks he does. Augustin Carstens, listen to what he said. CBDCs are all about total control. Because you can't control banknotes. You can't know who's got what, when, and what they're doing with it. You see? But with digital currency, you can turn it on and turn it off. Nothing goes into anybody's hand. No commodity. Just blips on a screen. So, the BIS, or Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland, is the Jesuit central bank of all central banks, and this guy knows exactly where this is all going. There is no other reason for CBDCs or beast money, beast coin, to totally control people. He stated this very clearly. There can be no misunderstanding about what this is all about. Excuse me. Now remember, the 2 often quoted fake Jew, Jesuit puppet banker, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, he said this, and I quote, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." Unquote. Have you heard that before? It's been quoted in truther videos all over the internet for the last 15 years. The truth is, Mayer Amschel Rothschild never controlled anything. He was the greatest puppet banker of the Jesuit order and understood full well about the control of money and its link to absolute power. Not his money, Jesuit money, Roman money. So who has had control of the American dollar since 1913 with the illegal creation of the Federal Reserve Central Bank? The Jesuit order and its Masonic banking cartel. That's who. This control of money has been playing out for the whole 20th century, and we had no idea what was going on. The control of banks, the control of money. We had no idea what was going on. Were you educated about money thoroughly in high school? I wasn't. Not a peep. This satanic goal of control of the masses by control of their money is soon coming to an end. The reason I have videos and a slideshow of both the mark and the money in this message is because these are both absolutely necessary for the fulfillment of God's word in Revelation 13. Mark and money must converge so that no one may buy or sell any other way. So all these people running around on these truther channels promoting gold and silver are absolute liars. Whether they believe this or not, know this or not, understand it or not, they're lying. Because gold and silver will be worth nothing. Do you remember what it says in James? Where James, I can't remember the scripture verse. James says, "Woe unto you, rich! Your silver and your gold have corroded." That's about to happen. Because gold and silver will be worth nothing. And whatever rich people are sitting on silver and gold, it won't be worth a thing. They will not be able to buy or sell with it. The only people that gold or silver is going to be worth anything to is the Jesuits who are sitting on all of it. But they'll never have to use it because they just use funny digital currency. Funny money. Blips on a screen. That's all it is. Not worth a thing. Digital money is not worth anything. It's nothing. And yet, digital money and the mark will control every facet of every living soul soon. Get your head around that. Because that is what the Bible is telling us. And God is never wrong. Never. About anything. The only misunderstanding that anybody ever had about the Bible was their fault. Because they never inquired long enough and deep enough to get the full answer. So, mark and money must converge so that no one may buy and sell any other way. In the end, the beast will tell the marked masses how much they get, how and when they'll be allowed to spend it, and what they'll be able to buy or sell with it. And not only that, there'll be an expiry date on it. If you don't use it for what you're told to use it, it just disappears. And then you have to wait. For how long? For more. Helpless. Absolutely helpless. People will be totally dependent on Satan's man for everything. That's the picture in Revelation. From Revelation 13 forward. Any kind of non-compliance by people who are marked will be punished by zero payment and thus starvation. It's as simple as that. If you want to call it a social credit score system, then be my guest. Personally, it will be far, far more than that. The system will control everything you do because it is just an open prison system, both inside the body and out. Inside and out lends a new sense of seriousness to the expression inside and out, doesn't it? Remember what they showed us in the news Bender movie clip earlier. When cash and coins and cards go, then that's it for freedom. however you want to look at it, because the beast will control all money, all bank accounts, not people. This is exactly what the scriptures are telling us. Soon all choice, and thus all freedom, will be gone forever. The microneedle patch mark in the right hand or forehead will contain all personal information, which is being called ID 2020 in recent years. The mark will track and monitor the body 24/7 and will enable scanning to complete near-field communication, buying and selling transactions. The COVID test and injection technology can be used to kill people if targeted by the right Wi-Fi or cell phone signals. The prison is in the body for those who obeyed the UN image of the beast, world government, and tested and injected with COVID technologies and have survived to this day, somehow. That is the vast majority of the world population today. Tested and injected. And some of them are still alive. Now, we were first told in the media about the microneedle patch technology, like I said before, in 2010. And we were first told about cryptocurrencies in 2009, 1 year earlier, when Bitcoin rolled out with the whole Satoshi Nakamoto psyop. Now, both of these technologies have been developing together in parallel, and they've been gradually installed over the last 15 years. The map patch technology happened very quietly, and the Bitcoin tech more noisily. Lots of publicity, right? The microneedle patch, almost no publicity. A few short mentions in news here and there over the last 15 years. The Beast coin, Bitcoin, crypto coins in the news all the time for the last 15 years. Why? Because they want to get people used to this money, that's why. But they don't want people to see the patch and the connection to the money. That's why. So both these technologies shadowed each other all the way through this last 15 years without people seeing the future convergence and connection. The humanists still don't see where this is leading. They actually believe that cryptocurrencies are a system guaranteeing them freedom and choice with buying and selling. They don't realize it's exactly the opposite. It's their prison. It's their trap. They will learn very soon about the mark and money trap that is about to spring and snare them forever. But they will die not knowing totally what it means. Now, wherever you may be listening to this video on God's great motionless flat earth plane, and whatever small freedoms you may still be enjoying, I'm here to warn you today that the enemy is almost at the gate. This has been coming for a long time. It's taken 6,000 years, but here we are, very close to the end of the 6th millennium. Things are accelerating faster than ever after this 2-year post-COVID tyranny pause in the program. Please be watchful and alert for sudden changes in government rules and regulations regarding health and money. I do believe that when things finally flip, it will happen pretty quickly. It'll be a sudden convergence at the end where everybody needs the mark to access their money, or what they think is their money. Now, if you're listening to this message and are not a Christian, not saved, not born again of the water and the Holy Spirit, not tested or injected with the COVID vaccines, then I urge you to repent and turn back to God today. It's not too late to exit from the dark TikTok beast world matrix reality we now live in and find the Lord Jesus Christ and the promise of eternal salvation. It's not too late. Please consider carefully where you are at spiritually right now and do what God is telling you to do. Do not wait a day longer. If there is ongoing sin in your life, then get rid of it. Stop it. You know what you are doing wrong, and you don't need me to tell you. Your conscience is telling you what is wrong. Stop sinning and get right with God. Get rid of all false teachings. They'll take you to hell. Yes, they will. Get all your doctrines right. And I have spent a lot of time exposing the false doctrines and presenting the correct teaching from the Bible in many, many, many videos. Maybe more than 80 videos now on doctrine in this series. There's no reason not to know and no reason not to understand, no reason not to get it right. You just have to take the time and make the effort to do this. Yes, it takes effort to do this. So please consider carefully, because time is running out quickly as we watch these world events, these end-time world events come rushing towards us. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this lengthy video message, and I pray that God will continue to open your eyes as you search for the truth on all things regarding the will of God for your life. I'll put all pertinent links in the description box below if I can get them in there. Please share this information with others as you're able so that many more might be awakened to the reality of this evil world system. Please go to darknessisfalling.com and access all the materials there, which may help you tremendously. It took me a long time to find them and put them in there. And they are being deleted, video by video. So access those, use them, grow in the knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ and an understanding of the time in which we live using those materials. As I've been saying in previous videos, I may suddenly be unable to post any more messages, and who knows? I always say this could be my last because it could be. We're living in very nefarious times where the internet is changing all the time, and control, censorship, blockage of communication is increasing all the time. So, who knows? All truth online is ultimately going to go, folks, so get ready for this. Don't be shocked when it happens. I've been warning a long, long time that this is going to happen, and I just don't think people believe it. But I hope you do. I pray that God would keep and bless you all in the perilous days that lie directly ahead, and I really hope to see you in another video message. God bless you.